All right, everybody, welcome to the second episode of the CW News. This is not Channel 11, people. There's no Dawson's Creek on this channel. We're being joined by Bob. What's
Hello.
up, Bob? All right.
And also the snowplow that you will hear going by because it's officially Christmas.
Yes, it's snowing outside, people. It's effing snowing. Okay? Today we're going to be talking about aliens.
Aliens?
And some other BS. What's going on, Bob? The other day I saw C-SPAN. They're talking about aliens.
So, Foo is blowing up my spot. I sometimes listen to C-SPAN.
Yes.
No, this was a Senate subcommittee hearing. I think it was a Senate subcommittee hearing, where a bunch of the brass from three-letter agencies of various sorts got dragged in to talk about none other than extraterrestrials and their vehicles.
Yeah, and so many other times they've shown us this whole alien thing, and it's always been true, right, Bob?
Oh, no, they totally 100% deny. They did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Oh man, they've done this many times in the past. It usually ends up being, obviously, not usually. It always ends up being a hoax. How we've been looking at blurry images of these crafts for what, 50 years or more? But our first topic is Tulsi Gabbard, the movie. It turns out that she's going to be played by Lou Diamond Phillips. What do you think about that one, Bob?
Uncanny.
Right?
It's the resemblance is striking.
What do you think? I mean, she's pretty manly. It just got to be real. It just got to be real, bro.
Yeah, I don't really care about her, to be honest with you.
Yeah, she's a douchebag.
I don't think that she's like, everybody's all hot and bothered about these appointees. Honestly, to get to that level of government, you have to be willing to pay to play. Like, these people are not our savior. They're just the flavor of the week.
Yes.
Whatever.
All right. It's got Leno's kicking his own ass.
We've got Mateo and Sentient Flapjack in the comments. Hello, guys.
Oh, yeah. What's up, guys? Welcome to this incredibly late night edition of Food TV. You're watching CW News. All right. So Jay Leno, it turns out he's kicking his own damn ass, Bob. We have a story here. We're going to watch this video right now. Give me a moment.
I keep forgetting he's still alive.
Yes, he's alive.
Oh, my God.
Jay Leno's kicking his own ass. Okay, give me one moment, guys.
Earth happened to Jay Leno.
Oh, your poor face.
Look at my eye.
Oh my gosh.
Jay Leno is all bruised up. The left side of his face is black and blue. His eye is swollen shut. And look at his injured wrist.
I broke my wrist, lost the nail on the finger, and then I'm all black and blue.
The comedian says he fell down a 60-foot hill.
I said, well, the hill doesn't look that steep. Let me take it down! And then
You rolled down a hill?
Oh,
That's not true.
no,
I like how the reporter is saying that's not true. Like,
that
isn't
can't
that's
possibly
funny?
be it.
I think he's like you can't be look, he says he fell 60 feet.
No, he rolled down a 60-foot hill, is what
okay,
he said.
he rolled down, all right.
Jay Leno says he was staying at a Hampton Inn about 30 miles
It's weird that he asks the question. He's like, that's not real. And he's like, it's true. Like, why would he think he's lying? It seems like...
But, like...
the story seems kind of far-fetched for some reason.
But my dad did the same thing. You remember when he did that?
No, but he didn't fall off. No, he didn't. He didn't fall off a 60-foot hill.
He didn't... they're not saying he went cliff diving, Foo.
Yeah, but he fell off.
Rolled down a hill.
Well, he didn't get any bruises at all, your dad.
Well, that's true.
He didn't get any bruises. This guy looks like he was beat with a baseball bat.
outside of Pittsburgh on Saturday night when he wanted to have dinner at a local restaurant before his show. Instead of walking a mile and a half down the road, he decided to take a shortcut down the hill. Not a good idea. This is believed to be the steep incline he tumbled
Look
down.
at that.
Well, I hit a bunch of rocks. It was 60 feet.
Incredibly, the famous workaholic legend performed just 3 hours later without even taking a day off to nurse his injuries. Last night, he was back at it again, performing at a comedy show in Beverly Hills. This is just the latest mishap to afflict Leno in recent years. In November 2022, he was severely burned in a fire inside his garage.
So what is this, people? Are people torturing this guy, or is he just this stupid?
Somebody needs to look into elder abuse. Who's in
guy's-
his will?
This dude's setting himself on fire. He's falling off the hills. Like, what the F?
I mean,
I
at
went
least
to
when
the grocery-
Harrison Ford does it, he's Indiana Jones, you know. Because didn't he like crash his plane?
Indiana Jones?
Recently-ish?
Yes, Harrison Ford, yes.
Burn center, and I got a new face. That's a brand new ear.
Leno needed
This guy says he got a brand new ear. What the hell?
They probably had to do skin graft.
skin grafts, and there
There you
he
go.
is undergoing hyperbaric therapy at the world-renowned Grossman Burn Center in Los Angeles. Tomorrow night, he'll perform at Comedy for a Cause in
What's
Hermosa Beach to raise money for the Burn Foundation. His thank you for saving his life.
Will you be able to see
Who are you
again?
talking
It'll be
to?
fine. I'm not worried about it.
I'm talking to Mateo. He says, sup. He says, foo, sup, dog. All right, so there you go. There's Jay Leno. He beating his own damn ass. So, this guy, maybe this guy needs somebody, if there's any truth to this, that he's not being, getting blackmailed and getting his ass whooped. Maybe he's just very clumsy. Maybe
He needs
that's
a
what it is.
babysitter.
He needs a babysitter, do you think?
He needs somebody to like prevent him from unaliving himself.
Accidentally unaliving himself, huh? All right. So here's the main story of this show.
Death by 1,000 stupid accidents.
Yes.
That's probably what's going to kill me.
wow.
Fu is
Pretty morbid.
continuously trying to prevent me from inadvertently dying.
She's not very good with power tools, and she's very clumsy. So I don't like her to use any kind of like power tools.
I'm not clumsy. I'm just distractible.
All right, so I want to believe the story number 3, topic number 3. Aliens, people, aliens. All right, so like Bob said, there was a meeting on C-SPAN.
Well,
and-
it wasn't a meeting on C-SPAN.
Well, it was aired. It was put on C-SPAN. That's where it was televised. I was on the AP as well.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of everywhere because it was a big story.
Yeah. And by story, she means possibly a bunch of bullshit. We've experienced these many, many times. A couple of years ago, I think it was actually wasn't even a couple of years ago. It was a year ago. There was a very famous fraudster in Mexico that produced supposedly a real alien, and the Mexican government had put out a press conference and everything. They did, which I found very suspicious because look, this guy was a known fraud. So for the Mexican government to have a press conference to show off this guy's newfound totally real alien that looked like it was made of cake. It actually looked like it was
Scientists in Mexico.
It looks like it was covered in flour. We're gonna watch this right now, and so we're gonna watch these, and then we're gonna watch the what is it, Bob? What'd you call it? The press conference.
The hearing.
The hearing that they had about this supposed crafts. They've now changed the wordage. They don't call it UFOs anymore, Bob. What do they call them?
Unidentified aerial phenomenon.
Yes. All right.
UAPs.
Yeah, UAPs. It sounds like something out of like Halo or like something you get in Call of Duty when you get a kill streak. All right, let's watch this.
Go pulling back the curtain on what they believe are aliens and put 2 of those corpses on display. Take a look. These small mummified specimens were unveiled at Mexico's first ever UFO hearing yesterday.
Look at this, Bob. This looks like a fucking rock covered in flour. Like they put like flour all over it.
It is particularly not convincing. Like, as far as gaffes go, I've seen some really good ones. This is not a good one. This is like, when your second grader comes home with their sculpture that they made out of air dry clay and
looks
present
like-
it to you.
Wait, what the hell? My button's stuck. Give me 1 second, people. This fucking button's stuck.
See, that's God punishing you for overusing your beep button.
This damn beep button got stuck. That thing looks like a piece of... Yeah, that wasn't good. It does that. But I forgot to hit the breaking news, people. This is... What you see here is actually... Wait. Got to zoom out. The breaking news is not in the other section. But yes, people, this is breaking news. All right, people. Here we go.
Yeah, it looks like E.T. You're right. The alleged alien corpses were found in Peru. They're believed to be 700 to 1,800 years old. They only had 3 fingers and elongated heads. X-rays of the aliens were also shown, and experts say one of the bodies has eggs inside of it. Maybe we could have alien babies.
A lot going on in Peru.
Yeah.
Right. So is this real? Do people believe this?
I don't know.
As Leslie Lopez says, we want DNA samples.
Yeah. And then we're eventually going to find out that aliens look
And you say they have the whole press conference, all it's big deal over here.
nothing like we think they look.
No.
It looked nothing like ET.
It looks like a stone carving. It really does.
It does.
What is that?
I love that they're like, that's fake. That's not real.
The thing is that people don't, they put this stuff out to distract people because they don't know what's real or what's fake. So we have that story was put out there. There's another one. Wait 1 second. All right, Bob, what do you think about that?
I mean, that's obviously a gaffe. But I
don't know
remember
what that
when
means. What is a gaff?
a gaffe just means like a stage prop.
Okay.
It is something that is faked. You know, like a
I usually,
famous.
like I said, he's a scammer. The guy who put that out. I just thought it was crazy that they allowed this guy who's a known scammer to put out this another prop, like you said, a prop, and they entertained this. Okay, do you don't think it's insane that they're actually entertaining this retarded shit?
I do.
Okay, and so this was all over the place.
Mexico actually become the first country in the world.
There it goes. I don't know why that just muted. For some weird reason, that shit is
On
muted.
Earth. These supposed extraterrestrial bodies were presented to Mexico's Congress, which is considering a law that would acknowledge the presence of aliens on Earth. Jaime Maussan, who unveiled the bodies, said tests proved they're not human and they're unlike anything ever found on Earth. He said they were discovered in Peru in 2017. However, Maussan's claims have been.
Keep in mind, people, this guy is a huge con artist. He's been producing fake alien carcasses for a while, for a long time now. And so that's why it makes no sense that the Mexican government would make this big fuss out of this known liar and piece of shit putting out these supposed real aliens.
Debunked in the past. In 2015, it supported Maussan claimed to have discovered an alien body in Peru, which was proven to be a child's corpse instead.
Again, Peru, it's always Peru.
And in 2017, Peruvian authorities reportedly dismissed bodies found in the Nazca graves as dolls made of paper and glue. It's not known if these are the same bodies as those shown in.
Like Bob, right? That right there should have just basically, oh wait, it's that guy who had the glue aliens
And mummified children.
Yeah, but he had, after the mummified children, he had supposed aliens made out of glue and paper, basically paper mache aliens, and he brought this to them, and they had the nerve to entertain this stupid shit and have a group of. You saw that, Bob? There was a whole group of people there, yeah, and that room looked pretty expensive, I thought, right?
Yep.
Mexico's Congress. Will Mexico actually become the first country in the world?
All right, so that's the same video again. The guy's talking about the aliens. He doesn't go too much into it. We're gonna watch some of these bigger commentators, big TV guys who were really entertaining this. And I think it really, in a lot of ways, it's to create some kind of confusion. Hopefully, this is the right video. Okay, here it is. This Neil deGrasse Tyson. Watch just a little bit of
He's such a pedantic prick.
Doesn't he look like a fucking pedophile?
He looks like he's
you know what
just,
he reminds me of? He reminds me of Reggie Fils-Aimé.
Yeah.
The guy from Nintendo, the old president, who my sister actually met because my sister's very much into Nintendo. She met him. She said he's a big old pervert, and that's what he looks like. And Neil deGrasse Tyson just strikes me as being a crazy. Like, he just looks like he's a super perv.
He's like one of those Bill Gates. Like, he has a very, very niche degree, and yet has managed to finagle his way into all kinds of expertise and oversight committees, and he is a pundit on all things science.
Yeah, he's like Bill Nye. The guy was literally a stand-up comedian who somehow magically transformed himself into Mr. Science. It's like, bro, you were a comedian. And
Like,
people say, oh, he was an engineer. It's like, yeah, well, so is the guy who works at the auto body shop around the corner. Like, there's lots of engineers. He didn't really make anything. I don't remember what he made. He really didn't do much of anything. But for him to be like the arbiter of all truth when it comes to religion and all science is just weird. And it's the same with this Neil deGrasse Tyson guy.
Like, he got his doctorate in some obscure, hyper niche, like subset of physics, which is respectable. I mean, very good job, sir.
Are you saying he's full of shit?
I'm saying that he is in the same vein as Bill Nye and Bill Gates and like that whole crew who have like perhaps attained a level of expertise in like one very specific thing, but because they are narcissists, have managed to parlay that like single grain of rice worth's expertise into like the becoming the face of science, like and scientism as a religion. And Neil deGrasse Tyson is particularly egregious because he will come out with his full chest asserting that he is this expert and he understands all of these things when he is himself violating the principles he is telling you to believe in.
Well, Mateo over here saying he's a Crip. I mean, he is wearing a blue shirt. The guy, I mean, he might be. You never know. He might have that bandana in his back pocket. We have no effing idea. Wait a second. Wait, where's my bleep button? Bob?
I don't know.
I don't know where my bleeper is. This is really bad. Oh, here it is. We have no idea at all if he's really a Crip. We don't know because he's full of. All right, we're going to watch this right now. I think they do stuff like this to like lead people astray. This alien thing to me is just another red herring.
Of the new book, To Infinity and Beyond, it's Neil deGrasse Tyson. Neil, listen, the people, they know. They know. I want to talk about a cosmic discovery that we've been dealing with this summer. There was a lot of talk about aliens, congressional hearings here and in Mexico. What are your reactions to the hearings? We had public congressional hearings about the possibility that we have an unexplained phenomenon happening on Earth that should be
So just like what we're having right now, Bob, we had today, right? Or it was like for 2 days in a row, they had public congressional hearings, didn't they, Bob?
Yes.
On the supposed aircraft. So a year ago, they did the same thing. And I bet you if I looked up the time, it was around the same time of year. So now we're once again around the same time, we're getting more BS about aliens. Let's hear what this guy has to say.
By the government that some people are saying is evidence of aliens.
Yeah, so there's a lot, the universe brims with mystery. Just because you can't explain something.
Is that proper English, Bob?
Yes.
What did he say again? He
said the universe brims with mystery.
The brings with mystery.
Brim.
I thought you said brings.
No.
Okay.
Doesn't mean you can explain it. That's what.
One more time.
Why does this seem very fake? Like he's pretending to laugh.
That's what.
One more time.
That's what.
One more time. I'm not an astrophysicist, so you might need to say that sentence again, exactly as you just said it.
If you see,
don't you dare rewrite it,
something
Mr. AI.
in the sky that you cannot explain.
Yeah.
And you call it a UFO or the rebranded government version, UAP, unidentified aerial.
Wait a minute, UFO wasn't a government branding?
They've rebranded it. That's what he just said.
No, what he said is it's the way the government says it. The UFO was also the way the government said it.
Branded government version.
He said government version where the UFO was not.
He said the rebranded government version. The government rebranded what it calls unidentified flying objects.
Okay.
UFO or the rebranded government version, UAP, unidentified aerial phenomena. Who are they fooling? They're talking about UFOs.
Right.
Once you say, I don't know what it is, you don't have the argument rights to then say, I do know what it is. It's visiting aliens from outer space. You just said, I don't know what I'm looking at. I can't explain it. It's doing things I don't understand. That's really the end of your sentence. And so at that point, you say, let's investigate it further.
Sure.
Okay?
Yeah.
I don't mind investigating it further. Go right ahead.
There you
I
go.
care about...
And they did, and here we are.
Oh, I love this. I love these. There were two of them. There was two of them.
Sure, you always need a spare.
Yeah.
In case the dog gets to the first one.
And apparently one of them had eggs inside and stuff.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, it had eggs inside. All right.
So I love, they're like 3 feet tall. They're like this big.
Sure.
This is in Mexico. And so what's interesting to me as a scientist is you have someone coming forth with aliens, mummified aliens. I'm saying that's better
That's really odd that he would even call them aliens. Like, you have no proof of any of this, so why would you even call them aliens? Let's be more specific. Somebody's coming forward with something. We don't know what it is. We don't know if it's alive, if it's paper mache. They're not, also, Bob, they're not even going over the fact that the person that presented this was a known piece of shit liar who should be in prison right now for these multiple frauds he's put on the public and making them believe these lies.
Right, but that's kind of what he's saying, right?
But he's not. And I saw this whole interview. He does
Okay.
that. Neither guy for 1 second brings up the guy that's presented this.
Okay.
Then what happened in our Congress, where the guy has aliens in a locked box, okay?
But he can't tell you where they are or who has them.
So that's not useful to scientists, okay? If you have a discovery, you want to share it. When we went to the moon, we brought back moon rocks, we shared that with the world. That's what science is. It's not what one person says about what they did in their lab. It's what other people say after they double check you. And so,
Okay.
They roll out the aliens. They roll out the aliens. They say, that's a start. Now, never mind.
How is that a start?
Because they're not left in the locked box, okay?
Oh, I see.
So, I'm just saying.
Magic.
No,
how did you get it?
Here's what's interesting, okay?
Yeah.
He's a very humanoid.
Yeah.
Most life on Earth, with whom we have DNA in common, does not look humanoid. We have DNA in common with a banana, with oak trees, with worms, with lobsters. For an alien from another planet to be this humanoid,
like what?
It's got a head. I don't know which way your camera is.
There it is.
Okay, so it's got a head, shoulders, arms, legs, hips, ears, nose, eyes, mouth, legs, feet, fingers. That's humanoid. Okay, fine, but you're really gonna get a humanoid thing from another planet with another origin story than what we have here on Earth? That's odd. If you want to make a humanoid, put it back. Okay, if you want to make a humanoid, do you realize there is no bone under your nose? So all mummified.
What he's saying is like completely. What he's saying sounds to me, it sounds very retarded. Skull Kid says Benavidez is fighting Morale. Yeah, I know, I saw that. I'm probably gonna do a video on it maybe tomorrow.
Humans, you see the cavity into your skull. This alien has a nose.
Yeah, because it's an alien nose, and maybe they have a bone, Neil. Okay, that's science.
Okay, so what you do now is you give it to the labs and let other people investigate it. That's a start. I love it.
Well, let's talk about
I love me some aliens. Don't get me wrong.
I would love it to be true. But what excites me, and I see how you feel about it, is that there is some data out there. Our military has said that these UAPs, that they've got visual sightings that match the radar sightings, that match the infrared camera that locks onto them, and these things are doing things that they're saying, we do not have the material science or the propulsion to do any of this. How?
That's the U in unidentified. Continue.
I agree, but does it excite you?
Yes.
That no one can explain what's going on?
Always. And the research scientist lives on that frontier. We're looking out in the universe. I can't explain that. Bring in some more data. Get some more people. Someone smarter than me.
Whatever. These guys say all this, but when it came to that virus thing, they allowed like one group to do the supposed testing and produce all the thing, one document. Remember, Bob, they had these little studies, and it was being done by these very small groups of people. You didn't have like thousands and thousands of scientists studying this, right? Am I wrong?
Well, usually it starts with small groups.
Yes, but it seemed like that the protocols and many other supposed bits of science are all coming from small groups.
That's usually how it works.
Yes, but the point is that this he's laying it out like you have every scientist is all looking at this when it's a very small group of people.
Well, the way science generally as a topic of study works is you have general science educators, right? Who are like your science teacher, your college professor, and then you have research scientists who are the folks in the labs doing the actual experiments. Those people are hyper specialized. So an astrophysicist, there's like 50 different subspecialties within the already very niche subspecialty of astrophysics. So it will always be small teams of people, and they will then propagate that work out first amongst other experts in that niche area, and then related fields. So there is a type of astrophysics, right, that focuses specifically and exclusively on black holes.
Yes.
Their work and the work of an astrophysicist who focuses on identifying through infrared chromatography the atmospheric chemical compounds in the atmosphere of faraway exoplanets it's not a Venn diagram, it's two circles on opposite sides of a page, right? So what he's saying is correct. You will have very small groups of people.
But he didn't say very, very small groups. He said.
Let me finish my sentence,
please. He didn't say
please.
very small groups.
You will have very small groups of people who do the work, and then that work is checked by the broader community, not necessarily because they ship the little casket of alien around the country, but because they make samples and data available.
Yes, but that you'd have to have, I would say, many, over 100 or possibly even hundreds of people testing this.
Yeah,
you can't just have 2 labs. But that is what happened with the virus thing. All right, we're gonna watch. There's another story over here about this. They really allowed this to just go through the media. This BS.
And scientists have.
And the topic today is aliens. That's the main topic of the this new episode of Clown World News.
Confirmed supposed alien mummies are in fact dolls made from bones. The dolls were originally seized in the capital Lima in October last year. Scientists say there is no truth to the theory aliens helped build ancient Incan landmarks like Machu Picchu, calling the ideas fairy tales.
All right, so people, what happened is that those dolls there are the ones they had at the press conference. You know that, Bob?
Are they?
Those are the dolls at the press conference. They were made of bones. They were dolls. So the Mexican government went and had this huge press conference for a known fraudster and got this and projected this all over the entire world. And in the end, it was just yet another fraud. Isn't that crazy?
I mean, it's pretty on par for governments. I don't really think it's all that crazy. I think it's interesting. I mean, they're definitely trying to distract folks from something real big if they're trotting out the aliens.
The con always bringing out the aliens, and once again, they're bringing out the aliens. We're going to read just a little bit about this guy, Bob. What's his name?
Looks like Jaime Mausen. And I'm saying, yeah, Jose Jaime Mausen Flota.
Yes. Okay, Bob, can you read a little bit of this?
He is a Mexican journalist, television personality, and ufologist. He has promoted claims of supposed alien remains that have turned out to be hoaxes. Since 1970, he has been a reporter at various newspapers and broadcasting outlets, among them El Sol de Mexico.
Isn't that crazy that they keep it? Isn't it? Sorry, people, that Bob keeps clearing her throat. She's still sick. Isn't it crazy that they keep employing this guy and doing a whole press event and having him at the head of it?
What are you, crazy? Of course they're gonna employ him.
Because what? He's a fucking chronic liar.
Because he's entertainment. When the empire is in trouble, give them a circus.
I mean, this is wrong, and I get what you're saying. It's the distraction, right?
Of course, like why? Why do we have a verified 3-ring circus in government right now?
Yes.
Why are governments around the world doing the most asinine, out-of-pocket, wackadoodle shit in the world? Because it's a distraction.
Yes.
So of course they're gonna employ him. To think that they wouldn't employ him is folly.
All right, so let's read the rest of this, please. Where are you, Bob?
He worked at 24-hour newscast in 60 Minutes. With Televisa, he was a correspondent at the United States and a general assignment reporter at the Domingo a Domingo program hosted by Jacobo Zabludovsky. He also produced stories for The Sunday Show. In June 1990, he was named on the United Nations Environment Programme's annual Global 500 Honor Roll, or Roll of Honor.
Okay.
I mean, it seems like he's
we're getting to the juicy part now. This is the juicy part, the alien claims. All right, Bob, can you read this?
Mausen was involved in publicizing a specimen dubbed Metapec creature, which later turned out to be a skinned monkey, as well as a demon fairy in 2016, which turned out to be the remains of a bat, wooden sticks, epoxy, and other unknown elements. Well, he's got the unknown in there. We are only missing 2 letters.
Well, they studied it, and I guess they were like, we don't know what the hell else he put in here.
In 2015, Mousen led an event called Be Witness, where a mummified body claimed to be an alien was unveiled. The mummified corpse was later identified as a human child. Are we going to just gloss over that? Like,
Exactly.
Where did he acquire
I'm like,
this child?
where did he get this human child's body from?
You can't exactly go on Amazon and order one of those, as far as I'm aware.
This guy's pushing this shit to the limit, isn't he? He got a mummified child. Where'd you find this mummified child, bro? All right, Bob, want to read the rest?
In 2017, Mousen appeared in a video hosted by Gaia Inc., where a mummified body supposedly discovered in Peru near the Nazca lines claimed to be a 3-fingered alien was unveiled. A 2017 report by the Peruvian prosecutor's office stated that supposed alien bodies promoted by Mousen were actually recently manufactured dolls, which had been covered in a mixture of paper and synthetic glue to simulate the presence of skin.
Again. And now we have the new claim from 2020.
On the 12th of September 2023, Mousen unveiled 2 allegedly non-human beings to Mexico's first Congress of the Union public hearing regarding UFOs. Mousen claimed that these were mummified corpses found in a diatom mine in the city of Cusco, near Peru, near Nazca, and were believed to be more than 1,000 years old. Mousen claimed that scientists at the National Autonomous University of Mexico came to the conclusion that, in his words, the corpses were not part of our terrestrial evolution and that almost a third of their DNA is of unknown origin. However, Julieta Fierro, physics researcher at UNAM, stated that the university never endorsed such claims and that Mousen's data made no sense. UNAM further republished their September 2017 statement specifying that they did not make any conclusion as to the origins of a sample sent to them for carbon-14 testing, and that no other kind of testing was performed by them. Wired reported that mummies presented by Mousen are believed to be an elaborate hoax made of human and animal bones. But carbon-14 testing wouldn't be the correct type of testing to do for this.
Yes. But they later on said, what we just saw, right, is that they were non-human and they were made of what? Just bones?
Yeah, they're a science project. They're a craft project.
Yeah. More synthetic glue, dolls. Is that what's at the bottom? Dolls consisting of animal and human bones assembled with synthetic glue. That was it, right?
Yeah.
At the bottom. So this guy made some more fucking dolls. What's interesting over here is you go by the numerology. When you look at the, the virus with the CO in it, it actually has the number 69 in there at the bottom. It's claimed that you see it here with the 69?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just thought that was kind of interesting. 96% as above, so below. The guy is a chronic effing liar, and the news had the nerve to put this guy's BS all over the place.
Of course.
With this all said,
he's hilarious.
You say it's hilarious, but people actually believe this garbage. With that said, people, we had a hearing that was done for 2 days in a row in the United States talking about aliens. More stuff about aliens. We're supposed to believe this, right, Bob?
It was glorious fun. I had the greatest time listening to it.
All right, so we're going to be watching this press conference about aliens. Well, not really aliens. It's what do you call it again? The abbreviation?
Unknown aerial phenomenon.
All right, here we go.
Mr. Garcia, for their relentless drive to get answers on UAPs. They've been steadfast in demanding transparency on the sightings reported by military pilots and armed forces. Their commitment to digging for the truth is exactly what this country needs to cut through the secrecy surrounding this issue. And many high-ranking individuals in the military and intelligence communities believe UAPs demand greater attention, and thus the purpose for this hearing today. Former National Security Advisor H.R. McMaster said on Bill Maher's program that, quote, there are phenomena that have been witnessed by multiple people that are just inexplicable by the science available to us. Army Colonel Carl Nell, a member of the federal government UAP task force, said at a conference this past May that non-human intelligence exists. Non-human intelligence has been interacting with humanity. This interaction is not new, and it's been ongoing, and there are unelected people in the government that are aware of that. But UAPs remain a controversial topic. I'm not going to name...
All right, so there's unelected people in the government that are aware of the super aliens. You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of Plan 9 from Outer Space, where the guy says, the military military brass just won't let me talk. I'm silenced. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's just like, oh, they just won't let me talk about aliens. And they're unelected, huh? So who is this? Is this like the X-Files, the guy with the cigarette sitting in the silhouette?
Well, that's how our three-letter agencies work. None of those people are elected. Many of them aren't even appointed. They're promoted from within, and they operate within their own clandestine power structure, and they make transnational allegiances, agreements, and actions that, I mean, our politicians aren't even really fully aware of.
But they always do this. It's always the government cover-up. They automatically frame this right from the beginning with the whole, conspiracy of a government cover-up, and they just don't want us to know about aliens. And why would that be? Why would they not want us to know about aliens?
Well, actually, they talk, like, the brass that they trot out talks about it, and essentially is like, well, we wanted to understand it better first because we don't want to appear vulnerable, and we also we don't want other countries to know what we have because we don't know what they have.
Well, that was the idea, right? Is that they're going to say that, oh, we don't want to look vulnerable. But the U.S. is always, their government is always trying to look vulnerable, and they allow certain people to get into the media and the government and so on and paint the government as weak and stupid and racist and every other terrible thing in the world. So, and them themselves, like I said, Joe Biden goes and takes a knee for a terroristic organization, and then he acts as a fool. He's falling down on the floor constantly, right? Look, if a government doesn't want to seem weak, why would you elect or put in place people that are weak?
Right,
because they're going to make you look weak by extension.
But this has always been the internal tension between the intelligence agencies and the executive and legislative branches, because the intelligence agencies would actually prefer for us to appear vulnerable while not being vulnerable.
So the idea is
having a figurehead that looks like a buffoon while actually having a shored up infrastructure that will allow business as usual to keep running while no one is the wiser, right? If everybody is looking at the clown on the stage, nobody is looking at the stagehands moving all the shit around behind the scenes.
Well, I mean, that's the point. Like I said, it's a big distraction. It's most likely a bunch of bullshit, and it's just like the weird cake alien, the weird cake alien. They're bringing out all this. We're gonna see this right now, you guys. You can judge for yourselves.
Well, I see.
The conversation around UAPs is that this is an area that both Republicans and Democrats, and where we may disagree in a lot of other spaces, this is an area where bipartisanship is really important.
What were you gonna say, Bob?
That's all right. You can play it.
No, just say what you were gonna say before we get deeper into this.
I think it's important to contextualize this. Regardless of what this hearing says or doesn't say, the possibility, the plausibility, honestly, the probability that we are not alone in the universe stands. This has nothing to do with anything. I think that it is entirely more likely that we are not alone in the universe than we are alone in the universe. It just doesn't make sense, statistically speaking, that we would be alone. And if that is the case, and we can presume that as a stable premise,
yes,
it's entirely plausible that there would have been encounters, that there would have been events that took place here. Do I think that the release of this information now is extremely suspicious? Of course.
Very convenient,
Do
right?
I think that they're being entirely forthright? Of course they're not. If you actually listen to the hearing, they tell you almost nothing. Everything has to be discussed, behind closed doors, discussed in a private session. And I think that this is mostly serving as a distraction right now. But
a distraction from what?
Well, that's the question. Because if you're trotting out the big guns, right, the big kahuna of conspiracy theories.
Oh, sorry about that.
Then there must be something very juicy in the works. So I am very curious. I will be keeping my eye out.
Well, we have the singularity coming very soon. We got basically man versus machine coming up, and we also have we also got a comment here from Quags. He says, I feel like most the intelligence agencies would prefer us to believe there's something extraterrestrial. In reality, it's just us. That's just my opinion. All right, so I think, what are you saying, Quags? Are you saying that you think these are spacecrafts created by the government or by foreign nations outside of the United States? I mean, look, if there are those crafts, I would believe that they are. You know, other militaries around the world, Bob, spy planes, whatever, so on, right?
Because the tech that we are allowed to know exists is like 5 to 10 years behind the tech that actually exists, right? And a great way to stay abreast of these things, or as abreast as the lay public can, is to read the patent filings. Like, read the patent filings. The shit that is getting patented right now is actually bananas. And so if you just keep an eye on the patent filings, a lot of what they're talking about, totally plausible. You're like, oh yeah, well they've been talking about doing that for like 10 years, so I guess they actually figured it out. One thing that I think that this could be a distraction from is there is going to, if like World War III actually does like properly kick off in a nuclear sense, we're going to see a meteoric advancement in tech and in weapons. And they need a way to explain that, and aliens are a very, very convenient deus ex machina. Like, that kind of maintains that same, oh, we're just innocent. We just don't really know. It was the aliens all along, while actually having a very shored up and tight infrastructure, right? Look kind of dumb, be the dumb blonde on the outside, but the sharp business person on the inside. It's like the Paris Hilton approach to politics.
Yes. Let's watch some of this video. This is the hearing, people. But remember to subscribe to the real Food TV. It is the greatest channel known to man, people. You are watching CW News. There's no Dawson's Creek here. You mother.
But I do think
This
that
channel really
aliens
is a
are,
KO.
I do think that aliens are entirely plausible. I
You
think
would, you would.
most things are plausible until they're not.
She would, wouldn't she?
I do. I'm rooting
And
for
in
the
fact, I
Loch
would
Ness
add it's
Monster, man.
Oh, man.
Critical that we all continue to work together in a way that moves forward with the truth and an important disclosure. So we're here to have a bipartisan and serious conversation, I believe, about our national security. We should always ground these conversations in facts, evidence, and the data in front of us. I want to note that we have our witnesses here, and I want to thank you all for being here, and note that also amongst you have folks that have also served us in our military. And I know that for many of you, this has been a difficult process, but I'm very grateful to have you with us today, and thank you for joining us. I also want to note that today's hearing builds on a quite, I think, also historic public hearing that we had many months ago that Mr. Grothman and others helped lead in this very same hearing room, where I believe we began a really important public conversation about UAPs. And so I want to thank him for that, and I especially want to thank.
All right, Quags has another comment. He says, I feel like nobody knows exactly what kind of tech we really have right now. All right, so yeah, they're not going to they're not going to show their cards completely, right? I mean,
Correct.
look, one thing that we're going to see a lot more in the future is the AI. I think that's a lot more scary than any kind of aircraft. Because I think after they built the atomic bomb, everything became kind of like underground. It became about wars of propaganda for the most part.
Yes.
I think it's plausible too, to an extent. And what do you mean, the aliens, Quags? I think he's saying it's plausible that aliens do exist, or foreign life forms.
Yep.
I mean, it is plausible. I mean, if supposedly there's what is it, Bob? How many planets they're saying they exist as far as they know?
In the known universe?
Yes.
Billions.
Yeah, so there you go.
And although the Goldilocks zone, which is what the term or the colloquial term used to describe planets that have that like rare combination of proximity to their star, strong and thick enough atmosphere containing elements that we associate with life, which is like carbon dioxide, right?
I feel like EMPs is something that Snake would say in Metal Gear. He'd be like, EMPs? Wait, let me do it again. EMPs? Colonel, what's a Russian gunship doing here? Aliens, too. Colonel, what's an alien butt plug doing in me?
You should be ashamed of yourself.
Gay! Wait a minute. I had a clip over here that I thought was kind of funny.
You're an idiot. An energetic idiot. Not an idiot. You're an idiot.
Come on, move it. Let's go get that drink.
What's going on? What the fuck did I do wrong? Tell me.
Come on, okay, bring him down here.
Thank Chairwoman Mace for her continued advocacy on this topic. I also want to start with some facts. We know that there are objects or phenomena observed in our airspace, as our witnesses will testify, and also possibly in our oceans. In many cases, we don't know what they are, and this is, of course, why we're discussing UAPs. Now, the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, AARO, has reported...
They really should have kept it to UFOs, but what is it? One more time, Bob. What does it stand for, UAP?
Unidentified aerial phenomena.
Aerial, so it has to be in the air.
Well, many of these events that they're talking about are in the air. So one thing that is kind of interesting about how they're handling this is that they are acknowledging that there were other loci of contact, but they're focusing on the tech aspect of it and the fact that, and I say fact in, air quotes, right? And the quote unquote fact that there are, I think that they quoted an event where there was a craft pulling like hundreds of Gs, which is technologically, as far as we understand the aerospace tech of today, impossible. It would also kill any living thing that functions within the parameters of a human being instantaneously, essentially. So
hundreds of UAPs
let's watch some more
that remain, quote, uncharacterized and unattributed, and which, quote, appear to have demonstrated unusual flight characteristics or performance capabilities and require further analysis. This is our own AARO office. Now, we shouldn't prejudge what they might be. I'm certainly not going to. We need evidence. But what we are detecting things, and we know that we don't understand them, and this is worth investigating. Now, the American people have legitimate questions, and I believe it's critical that Congress should help.
I think this is complete bullshit because you don't see any for the most part, most Americans are going to ask about some identified flying turds. They just don't care. So this is just something that's being pushed onto the American people in their media and all that, right? That just say, oh, the American people have questions. It's not true. I got a couple of idiots that saw an airplane in the sky are asking questions.
Address them. This is about the truth and science and facts. Now, transparency and faith in our institutions.
The truth, science, and facts in what? Things flying in the air that I can't identify? You know, there could be like a balloon in the air, and that would be an unidentified flying object if you didn't know what the hell it was.
Quags, you are correct about the B-2 bomber.
Democracy. Now, I'm proud to say that this hearing will build on that important bipartisan work, and I want to thank everyone for being involved, including members of our committee. Now, in our last hearing in July, we heard testimony that a significant number of pilots of major airlines have witnessed UAPs as well, but have no real confidential way of reporting them to the government. We heard that commercial pilots who encounter UAPs may be hesitant to speak openly due to stigma or fear of retaliation. We also know that AARO has reported that, and I want to quote, that most reports still reflect a bias towards restricted military airspace, a result of reporting from military personnel and sensors present in such areas. And so the lack of ability for civilian pilots raises real safety concerns and limits our ability to understand UAPs. This is a particular piece of this conversation that I am very interested in. Now, our last hearing inspired us to introduce the Safe Airspace for Americans Act, joined by Chairman Grothman, Chairwoman Mace, and a bipartisan group of co-sponsors. I see some of our leaders from Safe Airspace for Americans Act here, and that would create a safe reporting for UAP process, which we want to continue to do. Now, members of both parties and senior officials in multiple administrations have now taken an interest in this issue. Mainstream media, in many cases, are beginning to take more of an interest in this issue, and we should all be proud to carry that work and build confidence for the American people. I believe we can always be more transparent. To me, this hearing and others are simply about the truth and getting to the facts of what these UAPs actually are. It's very important that we show that Democrats...
I think it's fine if he just said getting to the truth, you know? The truth could be that this is all bullshit.
Democrats and Republicans in Congress can work together to cut through misinformation and look for a serious and thoughtful way to have the discussion in public. Many of us...
This in a lot of ways, Bob, reminds you of when Obama made it like mandatory for all these cops to have chest cams, and all we've got since then is a bunch of race bait. So,
well, speaking to that fact, he said the quiet part out loud already. Did you catch it?
No.
He said there is an over-representation of reporting and data coming from bases because they have a higher level of monitoring capabilities. And he said that statement in conjunction with the Safe Air Space for Americans Act, or whatever it's called.
Some more tracking.
So what he's talking about doing, the subtext is introducing the level of aerospace monitoring that is present on military bases on certainly a national, if not a global level, which is using satellites, using ground arrays, using the interferometry to take continuous pictures of the sky all the time.
Well, not just the sky. Most likely, you're going to be looking down.
Well,
with
you're
their
not
satellites.
just looking. You're looking up. You're looking down. You're looking everywhere. It would essentially be, well, we have to have a better handle about potential extraterrestrial incursions into airspace in cities, in rural areas, over, sites of interest, over reservoirs. So it is increasing the security perimeter of the country to a level that has never before been seen, because now we have much, much better monitoring technology. So aliens could be the foil to allow Congress to mobilize this type of a monitoring effort.
Yeah, no, there's always another angle. There's always another angle with this kind of stuff. It's always in the name of safety, right?
Yes.
Also called...
It is sounding very like the Patriot Act, right?
Yeah.
Because the Patriot Act, for the greater good and to protect us from those pesky terrorists, we're gonna need to do blippity bloppity boopity boo.
Yeah, because we got to look for aliens.
Right?
Let's see this.
Hearings to discuss UAPs. This should be a topic that continues on throughout the Congress so that we can gather more information, data, and work with the relevant agencies to gather more information. Finally, just want to add that those that are here on this dais, many of us have participated also in classified briefings as well, and where we have also gained a lot of important, I think, and interesting information, at least I personally have. And so with that information, we want to continue today's hearing, and I thank all of our witnesses for being here. And with that, I'd like to yield back.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia, and I'd now like to recognize Mr. Grothman for a 5-minute introduction.
Thank you. Good morning. I'd like to thank our witnesses for being here one more time. This is a topic I've been interested in since 8th grade. I'd like to thank Ms. Mace for working with me on this topic and for making this a joint subcommittee hearing. Last year, the Subcommittee on National Security, the Border and Foreign Affairs held an historic hearing to understand the potential national security risk of unidentified anomalous phenomena, or UAPs. We heard from former Navy Commander David Fravor, who shared firsthand experience with a UAP he engaged while on duty in the Pacific. We learned from David Gresh, a former member of the intelligence community, who revealed the supposed existence of secret government programs hidden from congressional oversight. Additionally, former military pilot Ryan Graves informed us of the limited ways in which the military and commercial pilots can report UAP sightings. Since that last hearing, I've led several briefings with government agencies.
All right, I'm going to go ahead just a little bit more, people. This guy is really annoying. And, of course, he's a Gerstmann, right? Grothman. All right. Let's listen to a little bit of this. I'm going to go get... Is the water downstairs, Bob? Actually, we have water here. We're going to listen to some of this, people.
Retaliation for reporting mismanagement of highly sensitive government projects or information. Finally, AARO has expressed to the committee that, like any other federal government agency, it's faced challenges in its establishment, specifically in hiring staff to manage UAP historical records and coordinating with other federal agencies. While these agencies have been helpful to us in understanding the challenges that come from collecting UAP data, none of them have been able to substantiate the claims made at this hearing last year by David Grush. Despite our committee members endlessly questioning these agencies inside and outside of a SCIF, I hope our witnesses today will be able to provide evidence and content that is worthwhile to our pursuits of eliminating government waste and increasing transparency. To help alleviate some of the roadblocks, I'm supportive of measures that were included in last year's National Defense Authorization Act to increase transparency and improve record-keeping measures when it comes to UAPs. But I believe there's still more work to go. I co-led the Safe Airspace for Americans Act with Ranking Member Garcia, which requires the Federal Aviation Administration to develop procedures to collect UAP data from civilian aviators.
There it
I
is.
look forward to working with members of Congress to see that this legislation and other UAP legislation crosses the finish.
What were you saying, Bob?
There it is. There's what he said.
Okay,
He's
sorry,
talking,
people. 1 second. Sorry, people. I stepped out of the room for a minute.
He's
to get something to
talking
drink.
about how this is the opening volley in the quest to essentially create the Patriot Act Mach 2, right? We understand, or at least I hope we understand, that the United States government has leveraged the fear following 9/11 to essentially begin spying on the American people at will, without notice, without cause, without to be in an absolute violation of our constitutional rights. Now, the hypothesis of aliens and extraterrestrials and UAPs is being used as 9/11 Part 2, right?
And then they changed the wordage. They now call it UAPs. What do you think the reasoning is behind that?
It expands the scope, because what they talk about later is that there is a working hypothesis that many, or that at least some of these intelligent, non-human encounters occurred from things that came from out in the deep ocean. Like, we have explored less than 5% of our ocean. We know much more about the moon and Mars and Pluto and Venus and Mercury and even several exoplanets of other neighboring galaxies than we do about our own ocean.
Now, side note, Quags is asking, he says, do you guys think we really have lasers? Question. I think we do, and I think we have railguns. They actually are, energy weapons do exist. They've actually showed them in operation. I've seen them on ships before. The U.S. does have energy weapons.
Yep.
So does
and
China.
Railguns.
I'm pretty sure many countries have them.
It's a matter of scale, though, right? So when you think about a laser, like in Star Wars, versus what we probably currently have, right? It's an order of magnitude less. But that once the tech exists, the greatest potential of the tech is inevitable, right? For example, there was a team, I think out of Caltech, that created a tractor beam. There is a team, I think in Germany, that managed to essentially create a time anomaly where they caused an electron to disappear in time. Like it was no longer in existence, and then it was in existence. Like, I'm phrasing that badly, but yes. There have been many very, very, very interesting things on the furthest edge of physics. That's why physics is probably my favorite subject.
Well, look at this, Bob. Look. I find it interesting how they always come up with these names, these abbreviations that spell out interesting words. So here it says the U.S. Navy has a laser weapon system, and they call it LAWS. Isn't that funny? Yeah. LAWS. Was this going to keep law and order? It's going to be shot right here. Bro, that's some really cheesy music. What is that, Blink 182?
That looked kind of like the Duke controller.
What, Bob?
Did you see the controller they were using? It looked a little bit like the OG Duke controller.
Oh, I didn't see it. Maybe it is a Duke controller. Let's go back a little bit. I want to see that.
No, it's further back.
Past
than
it?
that. Yeah. There. See?
It definitely looks like a game controller, that's for sure. So there you go. That's an energy weapon. You see it take that thing out. I've actually seen the U.S. with that whole Space Force thing they're doing. Supposedly they have certain equipment that can take out targets on the ground. I'm pretty sure those are energy weapons. That's my guess. I mean, you look at a lot of sci-fi has these energy weapons. You look at a game like Gears of War. They had some kind of weapon called the Hammer of Dawn. And it was basically a laser weapon that was in space that would shoot down onto the planet. And this is kind of what they have. They're saying that this thing could shoot down targets on the ground and destroy them.
But you know,
and it's not a missile. It's an energy weapon. That's what they call them.
Do you know
it's
where
the same idea behind the lightsaber in Star Wars? It's an energy weapon as well.
Do you know where many of those sci-fi writers got that idea?
Where?
From Nikola Tesla.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was talking about I don't remember what he called it, but he was talking about some massive laser, like an energy weapon specifically, but he was talking about harnessing it as a perpetual energy machine, which is, you know, the death of Tesla and the absconding with all of his paperwork, right?
This has been in a lot of sci-fi. It has this, Bob. Like you look at something as like Halo, right?
Mm.
They had energy weapons in there. Star Wars had energy weapons. You see a lot of this in sci-fi, right? And they have to like recharge. I mean, it's a great idea. Definitely, you're going to save in resource. You don't have to have a bunch of missiles and bullets. Yeah. These things can just continuously fire forever.
Mm-hmm. It's magnets. That's how
Magnets,
they
bro.
work.
How do they work?
How do magnets work?
Yeah, how do magnets? You never seen that? You never heard that ICP song?
No.
Right. What is it called? Miracles?
I don't know.
See if I can find I think the song is called Magic.
Listen, you're already battling copyright strikes.
Yeah, I'm just gonna look for the magnets parts. I have to show this. How do they work?
My kids, I seen shit that'll shock your eyelids. The sun and the moon, and even Mars. The Milky Way of fucking shooting stars. UFOs, a river flows. Plant a little seed and nature grows. Niagara Falls and the pyramids. Everything you believed in as kids. Fucking rainbows after a...
Oh, guy says fucking rainbows. That's pretty good, right? Fucking rainbows.
Wings
oh, wait, I can't curse. Rainbows. All right, how did they know everything was going to be about rainbows? All right, let's see this.
Alleviate some of the roadblocks. I'm supportive of measures that were included in last year's.
All right, so Bob, what is the word that you used? Let's see it.
General informed us that whistleblowers often fear retaliation for reporting mismanagement of highly sensitive government projects or information.
And now we have conspiracy theories are now okay out of nowhere when it comes to them trying to create an even bigger surveillance state.
Finally, AARO has expressed to the committee that, like any other federal government agency, it's faced challenges in its establishment, specifically in hiring staff.
So basically, Bob, anything that supports their agenda to create a greater amount of surveillance, we need to protect that free speech. The whistleblowers. I mean, whistleblowers to me, in many ways, over the years, has been like associated with like kooks and like, you know, conspiracy theorists. But now in this case, whistleblowers need to be protected in order, once again, to protect the surveillance state.
Well, that's always an intentional thing. It's always an intentional thing to make a whistleblower who is speaking truth sound absolutely crazy and to muddy the waters as much as possible, right? Because if you destroy the credibility, you destroy the claim. So... Yes. If you make you affiliate the person with unsavory characters, You assassinate their character. You demonstrate that they're secretly an alcoholic or a crackhead or whatever the case may be, right?
Wait. What are you trying to say?
Regardless of how truthful their testimony may be, it is fruit of the poison tree, right? So that's always been the case. And that's why many whistleblowers refuse to be named. And when they are named, it becomes an absolute shit show. That said, I do think that this is the inception. Like, this is the birth of Skynet. Like, this is where it starts. Because they will be using self-teaching algorithms to filter the data because there is simply too much of it. If they implement the type of monitoring and the type of data collection that they want to implement at a national level, it will require essentially a grid of continuously collecting highly sensitive data apparatus that will need to be monitored, managed, and interpreted by something. And it's far too much data for human beings to manage. So it will require the use of machine learning algorithms to parse and sort that data, which is the foundation of Skynet. So I do think that where we are right now in this very, very strange timeline is the birth of Skynet.
We definitely are seeing it. It looks like we're seeing the birth of Skynet. This is actually a video that was, that the artist Marilyn Manson, right, Bob?
Do I know Marilyn Manson?
Yeah, the artist. Do you know of?
Yes, I know of Marilyn Manson.
He referenced the video when he made an album, this album called Say 10. And I saw it on a website. I digged in and he brought up something called the power of 10. And he kind of, it was like sort of like, what do you call it? Breadcrumbs towards this video here, which I thought was kind of weird. I found it a few years ago. And it's kind of creepy when you're thinking about what Bob's talking about, the surveillance state using, I assume, satellites in order to do things like look down possible weaponry for, to catch the aliens. This is the film that I found when he brought up, it was like a riddle. He had a riddle and it led to this video. All right, so we're going to watch that right now. Interestingly, it starts off with the rainbow. Hey, Bob?
It starts off with
prism. The rainbow and a pyramid.
That's a prism.
Yes, a prism.
A prism takes takes light and breaks it into the visible spectrum.
Yes.
All light is a rainbow all of the time.
All right, so this is called The Power of 10. This was a film created in the year 1977. Interesting, got your 77 in there. That's a powerful number in numerology. Just saying, bro. Pyramid.
The picnic near the lakeside in Chicago is the start of a lazy afternoon, early one October. We begin with a scene 1 meter wide, which we view from just 1 meter away. Now, every 10 seconds, we will look from 10 times farther away, and our field of view will be 10 times wider. This square is 10 meters wide, and in 10 seconds, the next square will be 10 times as wide. Our picture will center on the picnickers, even after they've been lost to sight. 100 meters wide. The distance a man can run in 10 seconds. Cars crowd the highway. Powerboats lie at their docks. The colorful bleachers are Soldiers Field. This square is 1 kilometer wide, 1,000 meters. The distance a racing car can travel in 10 seconds. We see the great city on the lake shore. 10 to the 4th meters, 10 kilometers. The distance a supersonic airplane can travel in 10 seconds. We see first the rounded end of Lake Michigan, then the whole Great Lake. 10 to the 5th meters.
You see how high it's going, Bob?
Yep.
And it's a satellite. People, this predates Google by decades.
Yep.
And they're showing this satellites looking down on the planet.
Distance an orbiting satellite covers in 10 seconds. Long parades of clouds. The day's weather in the Middle West. 10 to the 6th, a 1 with 6 zeros, 1 million meters. Soon the Earth will show as a solid sphere. We are able to see the whole Earth now, just over a minute along the journey. The Earth diminishes into the distance, but those background stars are so much farther away that they do not yet appear to move. A line extends at the true speed of light. In 1 second, it half crosses the tilted orbit of the moon. Now we mark a small part of the path in which the Earth moves about the Sun. Now the orbital paths of the neighbor planets, Venus and Mars, then Mercury. Entering our field of view is the glowing center of our solar system, the Sun, followed by the massive outer planets, swinging wide in their big orbits. That odd orbit belongs to Pluto. A fringe of a myriad comets too faint to see completes the solar system. Ten to the 14th. As the solar system shrinks to one bright point in the distance, our sun is plainly now only one among the stars. Looking back from here, we note 4 southern constellations, still much as they appear from the far side of the Earth. This squares 10 to the 16th meters, 1 light year, not yet out to the next star. Our last 10-second step took us 10 light years further. The next will be 100. Our perspective changes so much in each step now that even the background stars...
All right, people, we're going to speed this up just a little. This is the power of 10, and they made this video 10 minutes long, and we don't want it to be that long. So we're just going to cut ahead and show you when it goes the other direction, because what it does, it goes further and further up into space. And then what's the really interesting part is that when it comes back to Earth, all right, because it's showing you what it really can do. All right, we're going back down. We're going to be coming back down. We're currently coming back down to Earth. Let's watch this.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We are back at our starting point. We slow up at 1 meter, 10 to the 0 power. Now we reduce the distance to our final destination by 90% every 10 seconds, each step much smaller than the one before. At 10 to the minus 2, 1/100th of a meter, 1 centimeter, we approach the surface of the hand. In a few seconds, we'll be entering the skin, crossing layer after layer from the outermost dead cells into a tiny blood vessel within. Skin layers vanish in turn. An outer layer of cells, felty collagen. The capillary containing red blood cells and a roughly lymphocyte. We enter the white cell. Among its vital organelles, the porous wall of the cell nucleus appears. The nucleus within holds the heredity of the man in the coiled coils of DNA. As we close in, we come to the double helix itself, a molecule like a long twisted ladder whose rungs of paired bases spell out twice, in an alphabet of 4 letters, the words of the powerful genetic message. At the atomic scale, the interplay of form and motion becomes more visible. We focus on one commonplace group of 3 hydrogen atoms bonded by electrical forces to a carbon atom. 4 electrons make up the outer shell of the carbon itself. They appear in quantum motion as a swarm of shimmering points. At 10 to the minus 10 meters, 1 angstrom, we find ourselves right among those outer electrons. Now we come upon the 2 inner electrons held in a tighter swarm. As we draw toward the atom's attracting center, we enter upon a vast inner space. At last, the carbon nucleus, so massive and so small. This carbon nucleus is made up of 6 protons and 6 neutrons. We are in the domain of universal modules. There are protons and neutrons in every nucleus, electrons in every atom, atoms bonded into every molecule out to the farthest galaxy. As a single proton fills our scene, we reach the edge of present understanding. Are these some quarks at intense interaction? Our journey has taken us through 40 powers of 10. If now the field is 1 unit, then when we saw many clusters of galaxies together, it was 10 to the 40th, or 1 and 40 zeros.
All right, Bob. So what do you think of that? Wait a second. What do you think about that, Bob?
I mean, I think that we have had the technology to see these things for a long time.
But isn't it kind of nuts that it's in the 70s and they have like basically Google-style satellites shooting down to the Earth? Because, the idea was always to look up, like towards space. That was what they told us. They told us it was always to look towards the stars and the new planets and to show that. But now back then, we have these cameras that are looking down.
So what's interesting is that some of the best images of space that we have of space were taken from Earth, not from orbit.
Yes.
Right? And images, what the various telescopes collect is data. They collect light data. They collect spectrography data. But it's
Yes.
not a picture. It's data points that are collected by incredibly precise lenses that are incredibly massive. But that said,
The Quags here saying that this is the inversion of micro and macro. What do you get from that? What do you think he means?
we are the same. As above, so below, as within, so without, as
Yes.
with the universe, so with the soul. That's what it means. Like, you can look into the interior workings of the cell using an electron microscope, and you can see the infinitesimally small components, the constituent building blocks of matter, right? And you can take that out in the opposite direction, and you can see stars in far off galaxies, right?
Yeah.
And it's all the same.
Bob, can you read the comments? Do you have access to that?
Yes.
So Quags has some pretty interesting things he's saying in here. You want to read his last comment?
We have been surveying the land though throughout history. I think that's how they made that weird video.
I think it might sound weird, but that might be looking at a possible kind of weapon. Because you imagine
Yeah,
you
of
have
course.
something up in space that can do things to your DNA, and that's where they ended up, right? Was in his DNA.
Well, you don't even have to go from space to affect genetic material.
I mean,
We've
but
known
if
that
you
for a
look, if
long
you have
time.
some kind of weapon that can focus on individuals, not on a large group. Now, imagine this is just kind of a theory. Imagine they told you this as a virus, and they go and they use some targeted, like kind of satellite in order to knock people off, right? And it's in the middle of a supposed virus scare, right? So you could literally just start knocking off all your enemies without even having a war. They'll just say, oh, well, they were just another statistic. What do you think of that? Interesting?
I think it's very
It's
plausible.
invisible war, right?
I think it's very plausible. And there's sorry. There's this is
What?
all based on phenomena that exists, right? We have, for example, a type of neutron. So a neutron star is an ultra dense star. It is so dense, in fact, that it can affect gravity, can affect time, right? The way that time exists.
Yes.
There are types of neutron stars, and the densest of them is called a magnetar, and it is so incredibly dense that it will strip the electrons off of an atom. Like, it will have, it experiences things called starquakes, where a shift in its magnetic poles or a shift in its magnetic field can cause the surface of this star, which is so highly charged it is almost a solid, to fracture. And it will disrupt time. That is how we know they exist, because the gravitational waves of these events have been recorded on our instruments, right? So I think that because it exists, it will exist. Because we understand that the force capability is there, if we as a species keep with our demonstrated desire to find increasingly complex ways to kill each other, we're going to figure out how to harness that.
All right, we're going to watch a little bit more of this. What is this press conference on aliens?
It's a hearing.
Okay, it's a hearing on aliens, even though we're watching it. What the F? We're also watching it and hearing it, aren't we? What the?
A hearing means that they're under oath.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to listen to Grothman or Gothman. All right, here we go.
To manage UAP historical records and coordinating with other federal agencies. While these agencies have been helpful to us in understanding the challenges that come from collecting UAP data, none of them have been able to substantiate the claims made at this hearing last year by David Grush. Despite our committee members endlessly questioning these agencies inside and outside of a SCIF. I hope our witnesses today will be able to provide evidence and content that is worthwhile to our pursuits of eliminating government waste and increasing transparency.
Isn't it interesting that he's talking about government waste at a time when Elon Musk is talking, and this Vivek, whatever, is trying to cut supposed government waste? Isn't that interesting?
It is.
Perfect timing.
The issue is that it isn't government waste, right? Because the three-letter agencies, as he's pointed out, and as many people are aware, are kind of operating at this point entirely outside government oversight and purview. So, is it government waste? Who knows? Who knows what they're spending money on? Who knows how much money they're spending? It's kind of a mystifying thing, really, when you think about it, that there's thousands of people involved in this collaborative shadow government. And it's not just in the United States. In most developed countries, there are iterations of the three-letter agencies doing essentially the same thing.
But if Vivek, our hero Elon Musk, the guy who's trying to replace us with AI, if he comes in and Vivek, the guy in bed with the drug companies and the tech companies, comes in and shuts down the FBI, who's going to oversee them? Vivek and all the other people in power. Who's going to overlook them?
Well, they would have to be appointed, which means that their appointment can be overturned. It can be challenged.
Yes.
So an appointed person, while not as good or not as accountable as an elected person, is still more accountable than whatever the hell is going on in our three-letter agencies.
Bob, I think that one of the more important questions would be what is the purpose of the FBI?
Well, that depends on which branch, on which subcommittee you're talking about. Because the issue is many of these agencies have strayed from their purpose, right? So
what was their purpose?
When you think about like the National Security Agency, for example, right? The NSA is, I have always understood it as outward facing. The NSA is collecting data and assessing threats on foreign soil. The CIA is looking at threats
But the
internally.
NSA, what does the NSA stand for?
National Security Agency.
Okay, National Security Agency. So wouldn't you assume that one of their purposes is it's not only foreign, obviously it's for the security of the nation, because it is an agency that's within the United States, right? So their goal is probably just national security as a whole.
Right, but we also have the Central Intelligence Agency, and then we have the Federal Bureau of Investigations, and then we have the Department of Defense, and then we have the Secret Service, and we have. Well,
the Department of Defense is the nation as a whole, isn't it?
Well, but that's the thing. All of these are at a national level, while they have field offices and sub-branches that exist at the state and local level. Well, not local so much, but the state level, certainly. It is a national agency. It is not like you don't have well, this is New York's FBI, and then Pennsylvania has their own version. They will have a branch, a local office, but it is part of the broader agency.
All right, so what agency is going to be overlooking this? If these guys were able to get this put into place, this newfound, I guess, new surveillance, I guess, I don't know, they're going to get more finances to produce, I don't know what, satellites, more satellites?
I don't think that they would be looking at satellites. I think that they would be looking at ground arrays. Because if you have a ground array that is pointing up, it captures everything from the ground up.
But why not the ground down? Why wouldn't they just use it?
Subterranean?
No, the ground down. We already have satellites up in the sky, so, wouldn't that be more effective to just look down? And you can see, I'm pretty sure they have instruments that can see things flying around.
The problem with the satellites is that there's a lot of them, and they're unwieldy, and they require a lot of maintenance. And performing maintenance on a satellite is currently still very difficult to do and very expensive. We've got a pair of astronauts that have now been trapped on the International Space Station for 7 months. They were supposed to be up there for 2 weeks.
Yes.
They've been up there, and they're probably going to be up there until February or March.
Yeah. But look, Bob, when we have a government that's this untrustworthy, why are we going to allow them to have this level of this extra level of surveillance when they've already lied to us so much?
And
we're also supposed to give them all these extra freedoms, these extra abilities, built on the idea that these things might be aliens, foreign nations. Don't they already have things that can track aircrafts coming in from other nations?
Yes.
So why do we need all this extra stuff?
We don't.
All right, so we're gonna watch this a little more of this. This is a long video. This went on for over 2 hours. This was a 2-day hearing, as far as I know. But we're going to watch just a little bit more of this, and we'll get back to our random discussion. Quag's got a lot of stuff to say about this. I should just put out the link, Quags. You should come on the channel at some point. You seem to be really interested in this. Quag says, however, they have become something entirely different now. What do you mean by that, Bob? Quags.
He's talking about the...
You want to read his comments, Bob, so you can make sense of this? Because I'm doing a lot of other stuff.
He's talking about the three-letter agencies.
Yes.
And the fact that they have strayed from their central mission. And this is kind of the problem. They have become their own shadow government. They're unelected, unappointed. They have no real oversight.
Well, Bob, who do you think is controlling that shadow government? Maybe possibly corporate interests, maybe?
Yes, 100%. Because you have, when you look at things like what's happening in Russia and Ukraine and all this other malarkey, right?
Yes.
This is being explicitly propelled by Raytheon, Northrop Grumman, right? All
yes,
those are just a couple of them, but those are the people who have created a captured or a trapped market, and those are the people who are benefiting. Those are the people who are getting paid millions of dollars. I think that I think that there's 4 main defense contractors in the that are US based, and I think that in 2023 or 2024 the United States government gave them collectively $113 billion, right? So we can sit here and talk all day long about the malfeasance of the pharmaceutical companies. However, what the pharmaceutical companies get is a drop in the bucket compared to what the military contractors get. Right?
All right.
So when you think about this and you trace it back, you get back to the same people. You get back to BlackRock and Vanguard, who have their hands in the Raytheons and the Northrop Grummans, and there's the one with the L that I forget the name of right now. There's several of them. There's 4 main ones. But it is explicitly those people who have their hands in essentially every armed conflict pie globally.
Yes.
So
where do you think the real, I mean, if you just had to guess, where do you think this is going? This extra surveillance? And where is it? We got people, we're going to watch a little more of this and we can go over it because we really got to get into it. All right, we've been on for 90 minutes. We're going to listen to a little bit more of this hearing, and then we're going to discuss a little bit more.
To help alleviate some of the roadblocks, I'm supportive of measures that were included in last year's National Defense Authorization Act to increase transparency and improve record-keeping measures when it comes to UAPs. But I believe there's still more work to go. I co-led the Safe Airspace for Americans Act with Ranking Member Garcia, which requires the Federal Aviation Administration to develop procedures to collect UAP data from civilian aviators.
All right, so was that like civilian aircraft?
Yes. So essentially,
is that like a commercial airliner? That kind
commercial
of thing?
airliners, private. So everything from the plane you take to go to Disneyland,
Yes.
to the puddle jumper that an enthusiast has to take little day trips in Martha's Vineyard.
So
right?
you think possibly they're going to be making it mandatory that these aircrafts like mount on certain kind of like tracking
Yes.
apparatus? Is that what it is?
Yep, and there will be increased surveillance at airports, large, small, private, commercial, whatever. And I think that if this is being integrated at a national grid level, right, you can very easily blanket the country in this elevated level of surveillance.
Yes.
Because what they talk about later is that not all of these UAPs come from the sky. Some of them seem to come from the ocean. Some of them seem to come from the Great Lakes. So that would necessitate that it's not just.
Yeah, and they're going to start using all kinds of aircrafts in order to track this stuff. Let's see this.
Yes.
I look forward to working with members of Congress to see that this legislation and other UAP legislation crosses the finish line. I'm deeply alarmed.
And like you said, Bob, it's interesting because it isn't about unidentified flying objects, right?
Mhm.
UAP data, and you're telling me that it's coming from below as well, they're saying?
Yep.
So that doesn't even count as an unidentified flying object, does it?
Well, that's why they're calling it aerial phenomena, because
Aerial
they're saying
phenomena?
these things are launching up from out of the water.
This is ridiculous. This is just basically a new kind of like tracking. That's all it is. Tracking, it's surveillance.
And it's sequestering funds, right? Like in many instances, to understand what the goal is,
it's
is
just more
talking
surveillance,
about
right?
what?
It's more surveillance based in
Yes.
some weird, wacky alien
It
stuff.
is the Patriot Act Part 2. Like this is the
Reporting.
Patriot Act
Yes.
for aliens.
Because I mean, it's one thing you got you got like Amazon and or whatever company, Google, and they have some satellites that look down. I don't think those blanket the planet in the way that this would, because this is
Correct.
just like cameras and kind of like sensors and all this everywhere.
And
let's
it's
see.
not just cameras and sensors. Like
Yes.
these would have to be highly sensitive, collecting data continuously and having that data analyzed continuously.
Yes.
Which is different, right? Because we have remarkably effective telescopes, right? We have Hubble. We have the other one, the JWT, I think, the Webb telescope, right? We have the one that they're building right now, I think, in Peru, somewhere in South America, that are able to do incredible things. They are used at very specific time points for only short periods of time, right? And then it takes teams of extremely highly skilled analysts, physicists, computer scientists, engineers to understand, interpret, and analyze that data, right? So it would be implausible to think that this surveillance system would be analyzed by people. It won't. It can't be.
It's going to be done by algorithms. You have your super police state, basically what Bob said, Skynet, and it's going to be all powered by automation. So
Yes.
basically, you're going to have this tracking that's being done without anyone really thinking about it. You're going to have all these different apparatuses put on aircrafts, and possibly would this be in the sea as well? On boats?
Potentially,
Or is it just only on aircrafts?
It would be on buoys because there are deep ocean buoys that are used to track like waves, wave height,
And Bob, how much of this did you watch, these hearings?
I watched the whole thing.
You watched it. Bob watched the whole thing.
I watched the whole thing like twice.
I didn't see the whole thing, so she actually is more of an expert on this than
I had
am.
a really tedious data project I was working on,
Yeah, she
and
knows a lot more of this.
I was listening to it, and I would then take off my headphones and force Fu to listen to some of the
she's
highlights.
the one who brought this to my attention. She was like, "Oh, there's some alien hearing." I'm like, "What the fuck is this bullshit?" And no, I was like, "What the?"
Listen, I want to believe. Okay. Vindication
All right,
for Fox
so
Mulder.
Quack says it's just unidentified objects.
Pretty
Object.
much. Unidentified phenomena, but it doesn't have
There's
the
someone
same
who's
ring.
talking. That man used his God-given right to freedom and free speech. There he is. He's unidentified, but he is identified. We're just gonna have to shoot him with the laser.
Well, that's the thing. Like now,
Just kidding.
and it's funny because I was reading. I think I was reading a tech sheet on something or other. I read a lot about a lot of things. So I don't always necessarily remember where these pieces of information come from, but I can track down the sources if people are interested. But basically,
No, Quack says it's like a high level crackhead triangulation.
Correct. So
Bob, wait. With that said, something relevant. What was that song, Bob, that you found? What was that song? Bob showed me this funny song that I think I watched as a little kid. What is it, Bob?
it's like my mommy, your mama smokes crack rock or something.
Your
like that.
mama smokes crack rock. That's funny. Like, let's see if I can look for you. Go on, Bob.
There are now software suites that you can utilize with surveillance cameras, like in a business or whatever, that will be as specific as tracking how, like if you use this in, for example, a cafe setting, you can track how many cups of coffee each individual employee makes during their shift, how long it is taking them to make the cups of coffee, how much time they spend not making coffee, what they are doing while they are not making coffee, right? And so you can utilize that to essentially create performance charts for people. And this is a completely hands-off autonomous software that does it. And you can train it to identify your high value staff and even fire your comparatively low value staff. So understanding that the open source nature of many machine learning programs is causing machine learning programs to improve exponentially quickly is
all this stuff
really concerning when you think about it, paired with this idea that we need to have more like enhanced national, if not global, surveillance because of aliens, right?
Aliens or alien craft or whatever crafts that we just don't know where they're coming from. They might just kill us.
Yep.
And
so
what's interesting is through this entire thing, they show no evidence of this. So they're
well,
trying
they
to
always say like, "Oh, well, we can't show this in open
So how are we
court,
going to give you all these funds and allow you to basically take away more of our freedoms in the name of tracking down possible crafts
that looks good.
that may hurt us based on nothing?
The same way the United States has been at war with an idea for the last 20 years.
What do you mean? What idea?
The war on you can't have a war on terror. Terror is a tactic.
All right.
Terrorism is a tactic, okay?
Yeah.
You can have a war against a country.
I would say that
you can have a war against a political idiot, like a political group.
Well, I would say that the media is more guilty of terrorism than any other group. The media right here in the States, or in any other country, they inflict this constant, it's all basically propaganda. It's these fear campaigns where they just go and just feed you stuff to. It's not just fear; it's also to build up hate in you and to destroy these populations where they can't live like coexist together. They got to be bickering all the time, and we're seeing this happening all the time. So this idea that we have to be afraid of these foreign supposed terrorists, I think is ridiculous because it's really the media that are the true terrorists. And this is why we created Clown World News, people. We're trying to bring you the real media. And remember to subscribe to the real Food TV, the great channel known to man. You are watching the CW News. Get a double shot of Wake Up. Remember, people, that mug is coming out. Just remember to put the side that's next to the C. Put the coffee in there. Don't put it in the other side because you'll dump that coffee right into your face, man. We don't want to be responsible for you going blind. We actually want to wake you up. We want you to open your damn mind.
But not because you've got coffee in your eyeballs.
What? Say that again, Bob?
But we don't want your mind to be opened by coffee in the eyeballs.
But how would that open your mind? That would just make you blind.
I said we don't want you to have your mind opened by coffee in your eyeballs. Because technically your eyeballs are highly vascular and it would be able to absorb caffeine through the blood vessels in your eyes, which would get it to your brain even faster. Oh my God,
that would just open your mind even more. Look at this.
In your mind. Open your mind. Open your mind. Open your mind.
You know who he looks like?
Open your mind.
Who does he look like, Bob?
Nancy Pelosi's husband.
Breaking news, people. Effing breaking news. Bob has just brought something else to our attention. She's just brought something news to our attention. That alien might actually be Nancy Pelosi's husband. Breaking news. You heard it here first, people. You effing heard it here first. Bob.
Yeah.
Where'd you get this info?
My eyeballs, which were opened like my mind.
Oh my God. Did he open your mind? Wait, just that weird, slimy, Vaseline-covered baby face in a guy's stomach made you open your mind? What the f***?
Well, he told me to open my mind.
He said it in a nice way. In a creepy way, actually. It was kind of creepy. Did you know in that game, Death Stranding, they actually have poop grenades? Bob, did you know this?
What?
They have poop grenades in the game Death Stranding.
Sounds about right.
I brought this up, people, because Death Stranding actually has a lot of signs of the possible future where they have all the different sensors that could literally, for their new fourth industrial revolution, they need to do a lot of tracking and tracing. And, one of the elements or one of the things they're trying to do in this is to track things like what you eat. So they got to analyze your poopy. So in the game Death Stranding, you actually can throw poopy at people. So he makes bombs out of poopy because the machine, the AI, actually it craft grenades out of poop. At first, people look. Let me say it. It analyzes his blood, his urine, and his poop, and it's right through the toilet. There's an AI system, and so what you can do in the game is you can create grenades from poop. Let's watch this. This is very important. Pee and poop grenades. That's what it said. You see that, guys? Saying that poop, pee and poop grenades. Said, damn, the future is crazy. All right, we didn't even get to see the damn pee. Wow, how do you label your video pee and poop grenades? Bob, did you see any poop grenades?
I didn't see a pee grenade.
I didn't see any poop. Okay, I'm gonna go back. I gotta show you guys this. They're killing BTS by pissing on them. All right, so there's poop grenades in there. I'm not joking. That video said poop grenade. I don't know why it didn't show the poop grenade. I'm a little disappointed, Bob. Are you?
I'm something.
What, you don't like this? You don't think this is very professional?
I don't know how we got to poop grenades. But...
Bob, because they have weird. I'm gonna watch. We're gonna see this. She don't want to believe. She doesn't want to take this seriously. This is a very serious show. All right, let's watch this. All right, we have Outlaw in the comments. What's up, Outlaw? There he is, man.
Hey, Dark.
All right, so we got Dark. We got Outlaw. Outlaw says free Palestine. P.S. What the F? Quack says, what the F is this? We had Dark in the comments. He says, wow, late show. Yeah, man, we started doing it real late. It's just what happens. Did you see the poop grenade?
Yes.
All right, so people, in the future, we're going to have poop grenades. And everything's going to be tracked, even our shits. What do you think about them apples, Bob?
I mean, they kind of already are.
They're not tracking our shits. We have not. I mean, bathrooms nowadays are very primitive. We don't have any sensors in our toilet.
That's not true.
Well, okay, then tell me. What is there something I don't know? I'm the
You
one
do
that
realize
installed some of these toilets, bro.
You do realize we get charged at a municipal level.
Yes.
For refuse flushed down the toilet.
Yeah, but I mean like individual people. Like if we pooped in our toilet and then they're like, bro, you had too many hamburgers this month. That kind of thing. It's really disgusting. All right, let's watch a little bit more of the hearing, people. If you're just getting into the show, we are watching the hearings that happened a couple of days ago. They had some hearings talking about, what did he call them again, Bob? I keep forgetting that.
UAPs.
UAPs, which are kind of unidentified flying objects.
It's the Temu version of UFOs.
But they've kind of like changed the wordage, and now it's kind of like they're just creating some crazy control grid that's all over the world. But in this case, it's just the U.S., right, Bob?
Well, I mean, first the U.S., then we've seen that other countries have been starting to ramp up conversation about aliens. So I think that this is the next step on the path.
Quags is saying, he says, I don't want a poop grenade if it's all the same to you guys. He says he wants to, he says he wants to give it to, all right, he says he wants to give it to Outlaw. You can get mine to Outlaw. You want me to give it to Outlaw? I don't think he wants your poop grenade, man. I don't think I want my own poop grenade. Right, Bob?
Yeah, no.
I think Joe Rogan definitely wants Jason Momoa's poop grenade. That's a fact.
Joe Rogan is a poop grenade.
Have you seen the guy has got a Jason Momoa obsession. On a side note, we're going to watch a slight bit of Joe Rogan for a second before we go back to the hearing. Bob, what do you think about these revelations about Quags not wanting the poop grenade?
I also don't want the poop grenade.
What?
So.
You also don't want what the F is going on here? I thought I knew you guys.
Open your mind.
Open your mind to the poop grenades. Bro, imagine you hit someone in the face with a fucking poop grenade.
Dark, I have no idea what's with all the poop. Foo's lost his mind.
You know who I want to hit with a poop grenade? Elon Musk. In his fucking robotic takeover. I'm going to hit him with a poop grenade. Come on, guys.
Open your mind.
Okay, so what was I going to show again before we go back to the hearing?
I have no idea.
You have no idea. I just said it a second ago.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we'll go back to the thing because I forgot what I was even doing.
Of the
yeah, it's Joe Rogan, but we'll hear the hearing first.
Massive drone swarm that flew over Langley Air Force Base in Virginia last December. Langley is the home of the 1st Fighter Wing, which maintains half of the F-22s in the U.S. Air Force inventory. Reports of this incident indicate these drones were roughly 20 feet long, flying more than 100 miles an hour at an altitude of over 3,000 feet. Yet the origin of these drones and their operators remains a mystery. This incident and other sightings near sensitive military installations highlights the complexity of the UAP challenge facing our intelligence, defense, and homeland security committees. Whether these phenomena are the result of foreign adversaries developing advanced technologies or something else entirely, we must take them seriously, investigate them thoroughly. And
I think it's funny how he frames it that way. It's either foreign or something else entirely. Why couldn't it just be here in the U.S., and here, just dudes driving around drones or whatever? What do you think, Bob? Why does it have to be either foreign or whatever?
Because we already have the Patriot Act. You're not going to get more money to do what you're already doing.
Really?
So if you want more money to surveil more completely and more complexly, you need to come up with a new adversary.
Sounds like a bunch of bullshit to me.
Assess their implications on national defense. The repeated UAP sightings around sensitive military sites underscores the need for innovative defensive strategies beyond traditional measures. They also highlight the urgent need for updated policies to address emerging threats as well as more effective interagency cooperation and intelligence sharing.
All right, so we got Outlaw over here. He really wants Palestine to be freed. Are you Palestinian, Outlaw?
That's part of his name. He's not just typing it in the comments
Hashtag,
over and over
I
again.
thought he was saying free Palestine. Bro, that's part of your name. I didn't know you were Palestinian. He has a bunch of laughy faces. That's cool. All right, he's framing the argument. Is he? Is he responding to what I said, Bob?
He answered your question.
Oh, sorry. Bob's got to read these because I'm looking at all kinds of other stuff.
No.
Yes. All right, what's the no?
Grothman answered the question you asked when you started playing his testimony again. Or his opening remarks. We haven't even gotten to any testimony. This is the opening remarks.
All right, do you want to go to the testimony? Are we taking too long? You tell me because I haven't seen this. You have.
Right, but you keep stopping it.
Tell me where to go.
Just hit play.
Okay, we're going to hit play and we're going to watch a 2-hour video. Just kidding. We're not going to watch this whole video.
However, none of this is going to be possible without transparency. For far too long, critical information about UAPs has been either classified or ignored, leaving the American public and key congressmen without clarity needed to make informed decisions. Declassifying reports and fostering a more open dialogue about UAPs will not only increase the public trust, but also encourage...
And Bob, what would be the open dialogue? Will we just be like, bro, there was something flew around a few days ago. That shit was weird.
Currently, most information is siloed. So what the CIA collects stays with the CIA, what the DoD collects stays with the DoD, so on and so forth. This would create an intra-organizational channel of communication that is classified, right? Because you need to have specific security clearance to have access to certain data. This would essentially create a bucket for all of this data to go into that would have crossover.
Do we get access to it? Is this
No.
what he says? No.
I mean, you could always file a FOIA request.
So, but for the most part, we get no access to this information.
We don't currently get access to the information they've
All right,
got
so-
anyway.
all right, so
this
these
is
guys-
just additional information.
So they're having
that we wouldn't
hearings
have.
and these guys can keep more secrets from us.
Well, I mean, it's not really a secret from us. It's just they can collect more data on us and then talk about
This
it
is
amongst
weird
themselves.
because they have an open hearing where they're talking about collecting information that's going to most likely be about our movements and keep it from us. So why didn't they have this hearing at all in front of the public?
Again, because they're putting forth a bill that is going to cost money to do this.
Okay,
And so in
there you
order
go.
for them to introduce
I
the
don't know
bill,
who the fuck would agree to this.
the same people who agreed to the Patriot Act. This
I don't
is
think
exactly the same
I don't
thing.
think anybody really agree to the Patriot Act.
Considering the fact that it has continued to be funded since its inception, yes, clearly many people have agreed
but people
to it.
fund all kinds of things in this country that they don't want to fund. They're kind of just like forced to fund it. Am I wrong?
Well, Congress funds it because Congress wants
Yes,
to
but
fund
the people fund it. The people are the ones, this comes from the tax dollars, and they're funding all kinds of things they do not want to fund.
it. Right, but we live in a representative republic,
Well, it's not representing us if we don't want to fund these things.
then vote them out.
Oh, well, that never works. All right, let's watch some more of this.
Collaboration between government, the scientific community, and our allies. Quite frankly, there's been things that have been kept secret that is, I think, old enough that there is no reason it shouldn't be released, regardless of any so-called, private information. A transparent approach will allow us to share insights, identify patterns, and develop new strategic defenses. As we continue to investigate these phenomena, we must do so with a mindset of protecting our country, advancing scientific discovery, and upholding the trust of the American people, who right now I don't think have trust, and it's just obvious. I don't have trust. We cannot shy away from the unknown, especially when the stakes are so high. I look forward to discussing these matters with the witnesses today. I'm hopeful we can learn from the testimony and come out of this hearing with actionable ideas to advance UAP transparency. Actually, the idea is just to say, in my mind, go back 15 years and everything has to be released. I'm hopeful that we can learn from their testimony and come out of this hearing. And with that, I yield back.
Thank you. I'll now recognize Mr. Moskowitz for a 5-minute introduction.
Thank you,
You
Chairwoman.
can advance
Good morning,
past these
everyone.
introductions. This is just the opening statements.
What are these dudes from Israel or something? These names are very like Moskowitz. And what was the other guy's name? Girthman or something? Gersman? Yeah, that's very like Israel. Okay, we're going to go forward a little bit.
You could go forward 5 minutes.
5 minutes. This guy right here?
Go past him.
Okay. I heard some stuff he was saying earlier. You want me to go completely past him?
Start here. Now
The woman?
she's going to start interviewing Elizondo and Schellenberger and Godet, who are the actual witnesses
So we got
testifying.
another burger over here. All right, here we go.
Much for being here. Our first witness is retired Rear Admiral Tim Gallaudet, who retired from the U.S. Navy and is now the Chief Executive Officer at Ocean STL Consulting. Our second witness is Mr. Lou Elizondo, a former Department of Defense official and author of a recent bestseller book about UAPs. Our third witness is Mr. Michael Schellenberger, founder of the newsletter Public and author of a recent journalistic piece about special access programs, including one widely identified as Immaculate Constellation. I swear the staff wants me on a list. Okay. And our last witness today is Mr. Michael Gold, a former NASA official.
We noticed something the other day with these names, right, Bob? Bob was pointing out something. Right, Bob? Am I wrong? These weird, they show this guy in the back with the tattoos on the arms, and they show it the whole time. You know, look at the way he's holding his hand out like that. You see that, Bob? Is that an odd way to kind of odd posturing from the hand? Then you had a guy named Mr. Gold. You have another one named Mr. Frost.
Yeah.
It seems coded to me.
Frost is one of the ranking members of the hearing. Like, he's a member of Congress.
Yes.
But what's interesting about the gentleman with the tattoos and the rolled up sleeves and the casual attire, when you're at a hearing, whether it is at a state, local, or federal level, there is a code of dress that you must adhere to. And the person with the tattoos, particularly the tattoos visible with the sleeves rolled up with no jacket on, is breaking decorum.
What is that on his hand? Is it like a broom?
I don't know.
Those tattoos are gay.
He's got a Red Sox tattoo.
It's just mad gay, bro. Wait.
But
I know that's probably coded, all that trash. I think I got a clip over here for these guys. One moment. Oh wait, where the heck is my clip? I'm looking for it. I cannot find it. Bob, do you know where my clip is?
I don't even know what your clip is.
That guy is a total beta. Yep,
Yeah.
the guy with the hand tattoos.
Official who is also a member of the NASA UAP Independent Study Team. Welcome, everyone. We are pleased to have you today. Pursuant to Committee Rule 9G, the witnesses will please stand and raise your right hands. This is where it gets real.
So this is what differentiates a conversation or an interview, as you were calling it, from a hearing. These men are under oath. That means if they perjure themselves, they will go to jail.
But they don't say, from what I saw, they say nothing where you could even prove that they were lying.
Well, that's the thing. They do spend an awful lot of time talking about how this is classified, that is classified. They cannot speak about this in open court.
I could basically come out there and say, did you know, guys, that Barack Obama's wife has a cock? I know this for a fact. And they'll say, where's your sources? And they'll say, well, I can't say my sources, but I've been told many, many times that she's got a giant rod.
Hey, Thunderdome.
Just got to say it. Barack Obama's wife is not a wife. That's his Michael. As far as I know, that is Michael. Bob, what is it? Why are you doing this deep size? Tell me. You're being a little too serious, Bob, about aliens. And this ain't even about aliens, Bob. This is about a control grid. They're just framing it as, they're trying to keep us safe. But we all know that the road to hell is paved with, good intentions, but, with shit intentions. Because in reality, they're trying to just convince us into allowing ourselves to be further surveilled. Would you agree with that, Bob?
Yep.
Under the guides. Is that the way you say that? Guides or guides? You said it. How you say it?
Guys.
Guys. Under the guise
Guise.
No
not
Joe Rogan.
GUIF.
No Rogan. That's the new thing I'm going to say. You know, they say no Diddy, Bob. I'm going to say no Rogan. You don't think that's funny? It's a joke,
It
Bob.
is.
It's a joke. All right, so we're supposed to just allow these guys to just track us some more because things are flying around supposedly that they don't know what they are. Is that fair to say that that's exactly what they're doing here?
Well, they're utilizing aliens.
Well, they didn't exactly say aliens.
Yeah, they do.
Do
You haven't actually listened to any of the testimony yet.
All right, I'm going to hear the testimony. Damn it. I should have watched. I didn't watch this whole thing. Bob's watched it. This is like over. We're not going to watch all of it, obviously. This is over 4 hours of footage. This is from.
Anthony, you have nothing to be afraid of with AI. AI is only as smart as the people who program it, and most of those people are pretty stupid. So
Which
don't
actually
worry
is not
about it.
true at all.
It is true.
It's only as smart as the people that program, huh?
Yep.
Well, you know that the AI that NVIDIA is putting on actually learns.
That is literally all AI is machine learning.
It learns.
It is an algorithm that you can teach to do a task.
It's just like a human being.
Within a specific data set. So your AI algorithm is only as good as the data you train it on, and is only as good as the algorithm you write to train it.
Anyway, she's just trying to alleviate your fear. Don't have any fear, man. It's fine. It's fine. Sorry about that.
I mean, it's definitely going to take people's jobs and make shit a lot
And kill people
stranger,
eventually. You don't think we're going to
but
see some Skynet shit, but they're going to use these for war and for policing and so on?
They already use it for those things. though.
Oh, yeah, exactly. People, they already use AI to police people. They
Yes.
did it in New York City during the, the cough time.
The Great Panini.
They did it. They had fucking little robots. I remember, Bob, they had drones flying over the water, which were AI. They were AI, weren't they? They weren't human controlled, as far as I know. They were AI flying like fucking Skynet stuff, like little aircrafts flying around over the water. Bob, remember we saw some of those things?
Yes.
We were driving by in New York City. We were driving by the water. What was
we were
that?
also out on the pier, and there were drones
It was by
out
the
there
pier.
yelling at
This
you
was
to
like
get
the
away from
creepiest
people.
thing. It was like nighttime, and you could see these robots hovering over the water. It was so fucking creepy.
It is what it is.
It is
honestly,
what it is.
honestly, artificial intelligence is quite literally a different branding of machine learning. It is just machine learning. The true quantum leap in tech would be if a machine was able to start autonomously writing code to train a machine, which we haven't gotten there yet. Do I think we could get there? Probably. But machines will always be limited because the infrastructure upon which they learn is flawed.
I mean, the machines learn. They now do. They do learn now. Did you ever see the press conference that NVIDIA had, where you can literally teach these machines? You can teach them just like a person, the same way a person will learn. And they also had these other robots that can do certain tasks, and they can actually learn on their own.
Yeah, but it's
you don't
just
have to program them go into a program. They literally look and hear and learn, just like
Right.
a person.
But it's not like a person because a person can create inferences. A machine is able to concatenate data and then repeat the data.
Look at these words, Bob. Concatenate. What the hell does that mean?
That is able to take various disparate sources and put them together in a cohesive and linear fashion.
Wow, concatenate. I just think of cats when you say that.
But it cannot learn in the sense that it cannot generate. So you can get an algorithm to read every Stephen King novel and then write a Stephen King style novel, right? But you cannot take a fresh, untrained algorithm and tell it to write a story. It cannot do that, right? So it is not generative. And even what they call generative AI is not generative. It is reductive. So it's taking data and information that already exists and just rearranging it and summarizing it, which is impressive. It's definitely impressive. And that's why the Nobel Prize in Physics this year went to the two gentlemen who were the founding fathers of machine learning back in the 60s or 70s. But machine learning will always be a machine learning from an established data set that was created by people. Or at least that is how it is now. Could that change in the future? Anything is possible on a long enough timeline. But for right now, it is just a machine reorganizing data that it has been pointed at in accordance with a particular set of parameters it has been given.
I mean, wouldn't that just be the same for people if they told you got to go learn about toilets or like about like how to make a pizza? And you go and learn how to make a pizza. You go find some information. Like if you never ate a pizza in your life and somebody said, hey, go make a pizza, you would possibly go on Google and look up how to make a pizza. And then you would find out how to do it and just make it. And it's the same idea. Like, look, if these machines, if these AIs are connected to these huge data centers, they can literally just, you could tell the thing, hey, make me a pizza. And it'll go and just comb through the internet and find the hundreds, if not thousands of videos on how to make a pizza and then make you a damn pizza.
Yes.
It's the idea of the Matrix. You know, they put the plug in there, they give him the program, and he's like, I know karate. And he knows it within seconds.
Right, but that machine did not invent pizza.
No, he didn't.
It did not invent an alternative to pizza that is similar but unique, right?
But we do see within the AI, you know, when they create these AI films, that we have these really like fucked up, weird, distorted images of what I guess you would call reality. So you kind of could think that maybe these things can mix and match things. So if you said make a pizza and then you mix all these other options and it could just like randomly put things in there, just kind of food items, obviously you wouldn't want it to mix a glass into there. You don't think that'd be possible? It could create a new combination and create like a unique pizza?
Of course it could, but it will always be within the framework of pizza, which was invented by a person.
All right. I don't know, man.
So, but that's the thing. And that would truly be the quantum leap in taking machine learning from essentially regurgitation, right? It is the reformation of data that already exists into a different shape and actually generating unique data, unique ideas. Machines cannot think for themselves. They can repeat, they can reiterate, they can reformulate.
Well, one of the things with the machines is that they don't have any driving. There's nothing really driving them organically. But Bob told me, and I remember you told this to Sobers, didn't you say something about a organic machine?
Yes.
Like an organic processor that actually has a negative positive kind of, what would you call it? Negative positive what loop, or what was it called?
So it's called wetware, but they're using human brain cells to create computer processors, wherein it is not, it is no longer a machine that is learning. It is learning in a neural network, but in an organic neural network. So they use a flood of chemicals, which do mimic the way that human brains work and store memory and create information, in a positive negative feedback loop to train the organelles. So, and you could actually buy access to them if you have an institution with the right credentials. It costs like $5,000 a month. And then you can have your very own wetware running whatever simulations you want. But that is years away from those brains functioning as brains, right? They're using the processing capacity of a neuron that can be manipulated via chemicals, more so than they are creating a brain outside of a body that can then function as a brain. You know? Does that make sense?
Yes. I mean, I think they're really downplaying this whole AI thing. They're doing it constantly in the media, but there are other signs that show us that it's not something to play around with. And we're seeing this right now with this new hearing talking about unidentified objects. I would say, just like who is it that said in the comments, Bob? Someone said unidentified objects. It wasn't about
that was
flying objects. Because the way they're wording this, they're talking about these UAPs. So they're talking about these UAPs, but in reality, it's more like it's about unidentified objects more than it is flying objects, which is kind of creepy because it goes more towards a surveillance grid, and also the fact that they're using all these AI to track. So this ain't people anymore, people. It isn't like, the funny thing about the movie RoboCop, Bob, is that they talked a lot about marketing and how they're going to bring robots in to police human beings, and obviously that would be done through automation, right? Through AI, artificial intelligence. That's how they would bring it in. And obviously we have the perfect narrative for robots to police us. I mean, all the cops are racist and they're against brown people, so we can bring in automation and AI robots to police people, right? Maybe they'll make the robots rainbow colored. It'll make them a little easier to digest. No Diddy. He probably ate people, right? But the movie RoboCop, at its core, it was towards this idea of bringing in the automation. And so what they did is people didn't like the idea of the artificial intelligence and that these things were not human. So what they did is they found a good cop who was, he was seriously injured by some criminals. They shot his body parts off. So they had this blend between, right? It's like transhumanism. And so he still had sort of that human edge. And that's kind of, who knows? Do you think that's the kind of thing they might be bringing in, Bob?
I mean, it's definitely plausible.
I mean, it really is. I mean, all these sci-fi films we saw when we were younger are kind of like coming true.
Right, and what I find interesting is that we have re-entered the folie de the grand delusion that we were all collectively in during the Enlightenment period, which is the last time we had these absolute delusions of grandeur. Wherein we as a species believe that we have mastered creation, and that we are the masters of ourselves, our universe, our world, and that is simply just not true. And we will always be Icarus as long as we give in to these base desires to become the god of our own making.
I feel like it's more like Dr. Frankenstein, what we're creating, right? We're going to create a monster. All right, people, we're going to watch a little bit of the possible future.
The Quags, I do think that your summation is correct, that it is emulation, not replication. But for anybody curious about wetware, go to the Final Spark. That is the website.
Sorry. Did you know, Bob, that many years ago I went to a press conference and there was actually people, because I was obsessed with the show Battlestar Galactica, which involves these like humanoid robots, organic beings, organic robots, basically. And they talked about these robots being powered by the brain cells of mice. I actually saw these robots moving around, Bob. They were powered by the brain cells of mice.
They've had those for a long time.
Yes, that's basically what Bob is calling wetware. Now, when I saw it, it was in its early stages. Now it's to the point that they're actually renting out these robots that are powered by the brain cells of human beings. Am I wrong, Bob?
No, you're not wrong at all.
Human brain cells are now powered. It's basically an AI, or not even AI. Well, it's AI, but it's powered by human cells. So it's sort of like this. It's sort of like what
It's basically
what
a
Quag
server.
says. It's a cyborg. It's basically a cyborg. You have like a freaking what do you call it? What do you call it? Well, I guess you could call it a cyborg. It's a cyborg.
It's a CPU.
It's an organic robot. It's an organic processor. It's powered by human brain cells.
Yes.
This is freaking insane, people. And sometimes when I look at some of this AI stuff, it looks like a fucking nightmare. It looks like nightmares I've had before. You see some of this AI, Bob? How crazy it is?
Yeah.
Like these AI generated videos, and they almost look like nightmares, like actual nightmares. They have that kind of blurry look to them and all that. So we're gonna watch just watch a little bit of a trailer for Battlestar Galactica, so you guys can kind of see where this might go in the future. It is a bit weird, just like us. 1 second. Don't hit me.
It's underway.
Humanity's children are returning home today.
Sagittarian, how many have you got?
5,251 survivors from Sagittarian last count.
It had been years since anyone had heard from the Cylons. And in an instant, everything we knew was gone.
There are less than 50,000 of us left.
This war is over.
So I don't know if you guys know about Battlestar Galactica, but it was these machines that ended up taking out most of the human race. It's very similar to, I guess, Terminator.
Now we're on the run.
Yes, we're tired. Yes, the Cylons keep coming after us time after time. And yes, we are still expected to do our jobs.
Our enemy, our own creation, is a bigger threat than we'd ever imagined.
There's at least one Cylon aboard the Galactica.
No mistakes. And be careful out there.
People are getting crazy. Clear your heads.
You said you had a way of detecting humans from Cylon. Do you or don't you?
Humanity's very...
You ever saw the show, Bob?
I did.
You did? Did you watch the whole show?
No, I never saw the whole show, but I've seen parts of it. I actually saw most of Battlestar Galactica. I saw with you, actually.
I guess we might have saw some of it.
Mm-hmm.
Bible rests in your hands. You're still acting like you're everyone's best friend. Be careful out there. Good hunting is what you say.
Did you wake up somewhere you don't know? How you got there or anything? You're drunk.
You heard the rumors. Cylons who look like humans, sleeper agents hiding in the fleet. I'm getting a bad feeling about where this is headed.
Let Galactica know we have a problem out here.
They've been tracking the ship all along.
The whole ship knows about you and the chief.
Put a stop to it.
Man takes responsibility for his actions. He accepts the consequences.
Wait, so are the robots going to be whores in the future? Is that what's happening, Bob?
Well, robots will necessarily be amoral because they cannot exist within the parameters of conscience because they do not have conscience.
Yeah, they're not moral.
You can
living.
program a facsimile of conscience.
Well, I mean,
into
the
them,
robot can go online and say, "What are humans like?" And they're going to see all this sex stuff,
tentacle porn.
They're going to watch tons of tentacle porn, and then the robot is going to grow tentacles. You know, it's going to create tentacles, and it's be like, "Oh, I thought you would like this." And the people are like, "Ah!" Quag says, RoboCop, not Robot Cop. RoboCop was supposed to be the first cyborg. Is that right, Bob?
Probably.
I mean, he was the reason why in the movie they made him like out of a man is because they had another machine that was just kind of like people would never accept it. They didn't want. They know people didn't want to be policed by things that were machines. You know, because I mean, most times police are supposed to be they're supposed to be moral in a way, right, Bob? You don't want to have like law enforcement that's amoral. That's
Correct.
a perfect setup for like an oppressive world. Right. This is one of the issues during virus time is that a lot of the cops didn't want to do what the government was telling them to do. They were like, go fuck yourself. And then little George Bob came in and then they created this big conflict. And so it continued on. But I know that where we are, right, Bob? A lot of these guys were not following these mandates. They were like, fuck that. I'm not going to tell a person to put that thing over their face. I'm not doing that. And so they need to kind of toughen it up and create that conflict between law enforcement and the public. It's a bad thing. But yeah, in the movie of RoboCop, they had to have a humanoid. So it's a human. You want to see that, and that kind of allows the world to accept it more. Which I think is kind of funny because when we see these robots, there's nothing about them. They are humanoid, right? They do have fingers and all that. They make them have fingers, but for the most part, you look at the Tesla bot. The thing has no fucking face. Right, Bob? It has no face.
Yeah.
There's like no nose, no eyes, no nothing. It's kind of weird. So, all right, we talked about that yesterday. Actually, I talked about that on Thunderdome. But we're going to go back to the hearing and watch just a little bit more of this. All right, here we go.
Do you solemnly swear to affirm that the testimony that you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Let the record show that the witnesses all answered in the affirmative. We appreciate all of you being here today and look forward to your testimony. Let me remind the witnesses that we have read your written statements and they will appear in full in the hearing record. You guys may be seated. Please limit your oral statements to 5 minutes. As a reminder, please press the button in front of you so the microphone is turned on so that everyone in the room, members included, can hear you. When you begin to speak, the light in front of you will turn green. After 4 minutes, the light will turn yellow. When the red light comes on, your 5 minutes has expired, and we would ask that you please wrap it up. So I will first recognize Rear Admiral Gallaudet to please begin your opening remarks.
Anybody in the chat, if you guys seen this before, just like you could put some comments and kind of let us in on it at what you thought of it.
Thank you, Chairwoman Mace, Chairman Grothman, Ranking Members Connolly and Garcia, and members of the committee. Thank you for this opportunity to testify today regarding unidentified anomalous phenomena, or UAP. Confirmation that UAPs are real came to me in January of 2015 when I was serving as the commander of the Navy Meteorology and Oceanography Command. At the time, my personnel were participating in a pre-deployment naval exercise off the U.S. East Coast. It included the USS Theodore Roosevelt Carrier Strike Group, and this exercise was overseen by the United States Fleet Forces Command, led by a 4-star admiral who at the time was also my superior officer. During this exercise, I received an email on Navy's secure network from the operations officer of U.S. Fleet Forces Command. The email was addressed to all the subordinate commanders, and the subject line read in all capital letters, "Urgent Safety of Flight Issue." The text of the email was brief but alarming, with words to the effect, "If any of you know what these are, tell me ASAP. We are having multiple near mid-air collisions, and if we do not resolve this soon, we are going to have to shut down the exercise." Attached to the email is what is now known as the Go Fast video, captured on the forward-looking infrared sensor of one of the Navy F-A-18 aircraft participating in the exercise. The now declassified video showed an unidentified object exhibiting flight and structural characteristics unlike anything in our arsenal. The implication of the email was clear. The author was asking whether any of the recipients were aware of classified technology demonstrations that could explain these objects. Because the DoD policy is to rigorously deconflict such demonstrations with live exercises, I was confident this was not the case. The very next day, that email disappeared from my account and those of the other recipients without explanation. Moreover, the commander of Fleet Forces Command and the operations officer never discussed the subject. Even during weekly meetings specifically designed to address issues affecting exercises like the one in which the Theodore Roosevelt Strike Group was participating. This lack of follow-up was very concerning to me. As the Navy's chief meteorologist at the time, I was responsible for reducing safety of flight risks. Yet it appeared to me that no one at the flag officer level was addressing the safety risk posed by UAPs. Instead, pilots were left to mitigate these threats on their own without guidance or support. I concluded that the UAP information must have been classified within a special access program managed by an intelligence agency. That is a compartmented program that even senior officials, including myself, were not read into.
Is there any juicy stuff in this statement, Bob?
Yeah, he's talking about the fact that one of the things that kicked it off for him is video footage of tech that outstrips the tech that he is aware of existing within our arsenal. So,
all right, so who is he again?
He is Rear Admiral Gaudet.
All right,
so he is an active member of the armed forces, and he has attained a fairly high rank. He is a Rear Admiral. That's like, all right. That's an impressive rank.
But I mean, look, if you want to build a narrative where you want to do more surveillance, you got to have some legitimacy, right? So you bring in like a guy like this, and you have him say this stuff. I mean, he's reading everything he's saying.
Well, because that's usually what you do. You prepare a statement. So this is his opening statement. This is why he is there, why he has chosen to put himself in the proverbial crosshairs. So basically, the way these hearings work is the members of Congress who have called the hearing give their opening statements that explain why, and then the witnesses who are going to testify give their statements explaining why they're there, and then there's an interplay between the members of Congress and the witnesses. Now, the members of Congress may say, you know what, I don't know enough about this, so I'm going to have this person come and question you on my behalf, kind of a deal. Mm-hmm. So throughout the hearing, you will see all kinds of different people coming in and out of the room to participate in the questioning. But yes, this is a formal hearing. They will have spent a lot of time preparing because what they're saying is under oath. And if they are found to have perjured themselves, they can go to jail. And in the case of Dr. Gaudet, he wouldn't go to civilian jail. He is a member of the armed forces. So he would go to military jail. He would be stripped of his rank, stripped of his pension, stripped of his entire career, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, but from what I heard, he poses no evidence at all. Let's see this.
Last year's UAP hearing before this oversight committee confirmed that UAP-related information is being withheld from senior officials and members of Congress. And just this week, I learned from former DoD official Chris Mellon that satellite imagery of UAP from a few years ago still has not been shared with Congress. Equally concerning, last year's UAP hearing also revealed that elements of the government are engaged in a disinformation campaign to include personal attacks designed to discredit UAP whistleblowers. Having never signed a non-disclosure agreement regarding UAPs, and now as a private citizen, I've become an advocate for greater UAP transparency from the government. The continued overclassification surrounding UAPs has not only hindered our ability to effectively address these phenomena.
Well, who wrote this statement?
He did, probably.
Well, it seems like he doesn't. He's stumbling over it.
But has also eroded trust in our institutions. While I applaud previous bipartisan legislation passed by Congress concerning UAPs, a more comprehensive approach is needed to address the broader implication of UAP on public safety and national security, as well as the socioeconomic opportunities that open UAP research could unlock. Therefore, I recommend Congress take the following action, which I believe will receive bipartisan support. First, establish robust oversight of the executive branch's management of UAP information by directing key officials, beginning with the director of the DoD's All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, to provide comprehensive briefings on what the government knows about UAP and does not know. Two, enact the provisions of the UAP Disclosure Act that establish a UAP Records Review Board to ensure independent oversight, transparency, and accountability in the government's handling of UAP information. And three, strengthen the UAP Disclosure Act and future reauthorizations with provisions that mandate a whole-of-government approach to addressing UAP. In closing, I will share my personal reasons for speaking out on this topic. First, as a former science agency leader, having led the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, I've always sought the truth in human knowledge and thought. Now that we know UAP are interacting with humanity, and these include unidentified submerged objects in the ocean, we should not turn a blind eye, but instead boldly face this new reality.
Did you hear what he just said?
Say it again. What did he say?
Unidentified submerged objects in the ocean. So they're not just talking about things from outer space. They're talking about things that are that exist in and around the surface of the planet.
Well, this is the actual meaning. There's nothing about flying in there. Like, look, read that. What is that, Bob? You see it over here?
You're going to need to make that bigger.
It's not about flying. I think you might have had the wrong abbreviation for it. This is them.
Unidentified anomalous. Because it used to be aerial.
Anomalous.
But they've changed
it's not
it
aerial,
to
it's anomalous.
Anomalous.
So what does anomalous mean?
Anomalous means outside of the normal, right? An anomaly is something that it breaks the pattern.
All right, so anomalous is what? It breaks the pattern. What do you mean?
An anomaly is something that
something
exists
outside
the norm, right? It is a variance, a deviation. So unidentified anomalous phenomena means anomalies that defy explanation currently.
That sounds to me like some bullshit. That sounds like they're
It
going to be
sounds like a
tracking-
very broad umbrella.
Yeah, it's very broad. It's like they're just going to be tracking everything. It has nothing to do with the air. It's just unidentified anomalous phenomenon. I mean, this could literally be some person walking around the street with a clown mask on, or, you know, a Jay-Z mask. You never know. People like Jay-Z a lot, right? Because this is saying this is tracking on the ground as well. That's a very broad, like you said, that's very broad.
Yep.
Really weird.
Reality and learn from it. Additionally, at a time when leaders in government leave much to be desired, I feel obligated to show moral leadership on this issue of UAP disclosure by validating the credibility of the courageous men and women.
This just sounds like a bunch of bullshit. Like they're just trying to set up some more control, more tracking.
Women who've come out as witnesses and whistleblowers to expose the truth. My speaking out has encouraged others to do the same, and it's my hope over time that a number of your constituents will want to know the truth and about UAP, and this number will increase to such an extent that the congressional action I've just recommended will become inevitable. Thank you, and I look forward to your questions.
Thank you. I will now recognize Mr. Elizondo for his opening statement.
Greetings, Chairwoman Mace, Chairman Grothman, Ranking Members Connolly and Garcia, and members of the committee. It is my honor and privilege to testify before you on the issue of unidentified anomalous phenomenon, formerly known as UFOs. On behalf of our brave men and women in
So formerly known as UFOs. So now, like we said, it's a more broader term. So it
Yep.
doesn't even have to do with what's in the air. So this just for sure reads like some kind of government trash, right? Like this has nothing to do with aliens or national security. Because what are they tracking? They're tracking things that are on the ground.
They're tracking things that are anywhere.
Yeah.
Anything that is an
Uniform.
anomaly.
Yeah, anomaly, yeah.
and
Oh my
across
God,
the
there might be an alien in a trench coat.
intelligence community, as well as my fellow Americans who have awaited this day. Thank you for your leadership on this important matter. Let me be clear. UAP are real.
It's so important that he has to read a script, every single one of them. Like every single word that they say.
It is a prepared statement.
Yeah, but it's everything they say is read. Is there a point where these guys are actually questioned?
Yes.
All right, so you want
You
to
have
go
to get-
forward? 'Cause
Well,
this is
I
a
think
long
that it's
video. All right, let's hear it.
Advanced technologies not made by our government or any other government are monitoring sensitive military installations around the globe. Furthermore, the U.S. is in possession of UAP technologies, as are some of our adversaries. I believe we are
They're in control of UAP technologies. What would that be, Bob?
spaceships.
Yeah, but they're saying, so what, a submarine would be a UAP?
No.
Because a spaceship, because it's not just
A
in the air.
submarine is not an anomaly.
All right, but if there's
This
something...
is future tech.
But what is he
So
saying?
what you need to think about this in the bigger picture, right?
Yes.
If we are potentially paving the way not only for an increased degree of surveillance, but also bringing online weapons and vehicles and technology that defy what many people would consider the norm, this is a very convenient mechanism by which to do that. It's not that we've been working on a laser beam from outer space for 15 years. We just found an alien spaceship and reverse engineered it, right? They're essentially
Bob,
they're
look.
essentially putting all of their stuff behind the paywall of Pandora's box.
But it just seems kind of weird when he says UAP technology. We have UAP technology when it's saying it's these like unknown things. What would this technology be? Cameras?
That's the point. It can be anything.
We currently have UAP technologies.
And
can you name some?
but what that is, it's a very subtle threat, right? Because this whole thing, this whole premise has been a smoke and mirrors show that is a show of force to an extent. That these agencies have been operating autonomously without any sort of governmental oversight. Like, that's the point they keep stressing over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And that they have all of these technologies and weapons and things that we can't even fathom.
Yes. But for many years, outside of this whole alien BS, they've been tracking the skies for a long, long time for things like meteors and possible, even regular aircraft, like an airplane that's out of position, right? It's not in the right where it should be. The aviators, or what do you call it? The air traffic control?
Air traffic control.
So air traffic control, unlike in, 911, that thing, somehow they failed. They've been doing that for a long, long time, tracking things that shouldn't be where they are. Not where they're supposed to be. They're not where they're supposed to be. So they're doing this now, and obviously they were also tracking unidentified flying things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're in the wrong space. Also meteors. So it's just kind of odd that they're not creating like this new thing where it's expanding this further. And what is this? The ground tracking? Is that everything that this is? It's just full on.
There's kind of three prongs.
I'm saying they've already been doing this.
Prong one is the demonstration that these agencies have shit in their coffers that people are most likely ill-equipped to fathom the existence of. Prong two.
Yes.
We want money for more surveillance of all of the things because anomalies are scary.
Yes.
Prong three.
There's things, bro. There's things around. What is that?
In the next 5 years, we are going to online tech weapons and all related accoutrements that defy many of our current understandings about the limits of technology. So that is aircraft that behave in way, like one thing that they bring up is organic aircraft. That means aircraft that is being piloted by a thinking computer.
All right, so AI aircraft. Because right now,
not AI aircraft, wetware.
Oh, that's
aircraft.
Sick. That sounds insane.
So
that's freaking insane.
Aircraft that is so intimately connected to its pilot that it is able to move as an extension of the pilot.
You know, they already do that, right? They already do something similar. Supposedly they use, I think, tracking, the eye tracking. So these pilots now, they don't have to use like a controller in order to aim at targets. They literally just look at the target and it shoots it. Isn't that crazy?
But what if we took that a step further?
Imagine if they make guns like that on the market. You know they're not going to do that. But that's sick and that's scary, isn't it? Like imagine you had drones and they just literally have to just look at you and the bullets hit you.
You don't have to imagine, they currently have them.
Yeah, they do have them. They just look at you and the bullet just hits you. It's not like they have to like really aim. It's just it tracks you. Boom, it goes.
So what the purpose of this, I believe, is to use the Deus Ex Machina of aliens to usher in the next evolution in warfare, right?
Aliens.
If alien, then not, oops, that's where that $113 billion went, right? Because all we've been hearing for the last 15 to 20 years is, oops, the CIA lost $20 billion. Oops, the DOD lost however many billion dollars. It's not lost. It is being used to do these things. And they're now ready to bring those things online. And they need a way to explain why all of a sudden all of these like sci-fi weapons are real and we've got an entire organization of people who already know how to use them. So this is how you cover your tracks. This is how it's like money laundering for ideas.
It's definitely bizarre, that's for sure. We're going to watch a little bit more of this. Look at the guy's hand, what he's doing there with his hands here, Bob. Is that like a Masonic hand gesture?
Midst of a multi-decade secretive arms race, one funded by misallocated taxpayer dollars and hidden from our elected representatives and oversight bodies. For many years, I was entrusted with protecting some of our nation's most sensitive programs. In my last position, I managed a special access program on behalf of the White House and the National Security Council. As such, I appreciate the need to protect certain sensitive intelligence and military information. I consider my oath to protect secrets as sacred, and I will always put the safety of the American people first. With that said, I also understand the consequences of excessive secrecy and stovepiping. Nowhere was this more apparent than in the aftermath of 9/11, which many of us remember all too well.
There's the tie-in.
Isn't that funny how they mixed that in there? 9/11.
As I've been saying, this is the Patriot Act Part 2. And he touched on exactly what I just said. Misallocation of funds, arms race, right? So the entire point of this is it is a show of force to intelligence agencies around the world. We're ready to come online with the big toys. That's it. That's what this is.
Well,
Which
I mean,
makes me
it's kind of sick. 9/11, and they're trying to get in people's heads like, oh, well, if you don't do this, we might experience another 9/11.
What makes me a bit apprehensive of this is doing a full court press right now in the current political climate with all of the shenanigans going on, right? Because if we come online with the big boy toys now, we're not the only ones with the big boy toys. This is very much still a world controlled by mutually assured destruction, which was what essentially put a stop to the Cold War, because we all had comparable kill power.
Yeah,
but
I don't believe too much in that. I believe that these technologies, whatever they're going to use here, is going to be used on the public that they are pretending to protect. That's going to be used on.
Of course it is.
Yeah, there's even the 9/11 thing. We know that was most likely not a foreign nation. I mean, it could have been, but not the way I saw it now.
Though.
I mean, there was all kinds of cover-ups there within this government. Let's see a little bit more of this.
I believe that America's greatness depends on three elements. A watchful Congress. B, a responsive executive branch, and C, an informed public. Over the last decade and a half, I learned that certain UAP programs were and are operating without any of these elements. Although much of my government work on the UAP subject still remains classified, excessive secrecy has led to grave misdeeds against loyal civil servants, military personnel, and the public, all to hide the fact that we are not alone in the cosmos. A small cadre within our own government involved in the UAP topic has created a culture of suppression and intimidation that I've personally been victim to, along with many of my former colleagues. This includes unwarranted criminal investigations, harassment, and efforts to destroy one's credibility. Most Americans would be shocked to learn that the Pentagon's very own Public Affairs Office openly employs a professional psychological operations officer as the singular point of contact for any UAP-related inquiries from citizens and the media. This is unacceptable. Many of my former colleagues and I have provided classified testimony to both the Department of Defense and the Intelligence Community Inspector General, and many of us have subsequently been targeted by this cabal with threats to our careers, our security clearances, and even our lives. This is not hyperbole, but a genuine fact, and this is wrong. To fix these problems, I propose 3 principal actions. First, Congress and the President should create a single point of contact responsible for a whole-of-government approach to the UAP issue. Currently, the White House, CIA, NASA, the Pentagon, Department of Energy, and others play a role, but no one seems to be in charge, leading to unchecked power and corruption. Second, we need a national UAP strategy that will promote transparency and help restore the American public's trust at a time when the public's trust is at an all-time low. This strategy...
To me, that sounds like a load of crap. Because look, at this time, there's definitely, when it comes to, I guess, I mean, UAPs, like just like you said, it's a very broad term. It doesn't make any sense. But if you were going to call these unidentified flying objects, there would be no other time greater when it comes to the distrust in the government than 9/11. That would have been the time to bring in these things. Like, so hopefully we don't see some kind of weird.
It wasn't done cooking yet.
Yeah, he's like, oh well, the public. Oh, and the public don't give a shit about this. He's just fear mongering. He's saying things like, oh well, 9/11. Well, we had systems in place for 9/11. They all failed because
magically,
yeah. They just, and so if they bring in whatever the fuck this trash is, who's to say that this also won't magically fail?
Strategy should include a whole-of-government approach, including the academic and scientific communities, the private sector, and our international partners and allies. Third, Congress should create a protected environment so whistleblowers desperate to do the right thing can come forward without fear. As it currently stands, these whistleblowers...
Bro, I'm afraid. I just saw something outside my window. Bob, I saw it. You saw that?
What?
There was a thing out the window. It was shiny. I'm gonna call the Pentagon. And maybe they'll give me back my trust in the government, and I'll feel more secure that weird shiny thing won't kill me. What do you think about them apples?
I think that's definitely a good plan.
We got to return our trust.
Whistleblowers suffer because of stigma, a code of silence, and concerns about retaliation. These whistleblowers should be encouraged to come forward in ways that protect them against any forms of retaliation. Policies and procedures should ensure that protection, and for those who refuse to cooperate, it is up to the members of this committee and the other lawmakers to wield their subpoena power against hostile witnesses and prevent additional government funding to those UAP efforts that remain hidden from congressional oversight. In closing, we as Americans have never been afraid of a challenge. In fact, we thrive on them, whether it's eradicating polio or going to the moon. We don't run from a challenge, we take it head on. To the incoming administration and Congress, I say...
Did they really go to the moon? What do you think of that, Bob? You think
Did they
really
really
went...
eradicate polio? Because I'm pretty sure they keep polio alive with the
I'm pretty
vaccines.
sure they were just a few months ago, they were telling us that polio has returned. Isn't that funny?
Polio returned because they are using a supposedly attenuated virus.
Bob's got a
vaccine.
cold, man. Iceman's asking if you're okay.
No,
She's
you're slowly poisoning me and my soups. I know it.
Yeah, okay. She's had a cold for the last couple of days. She's getting over it.
To you, we need immediate public transparency, and this hearing is an important step on that journey. If we approach the UAP topic in the same way as we as Americans have met other challenges, we can restore our faith in our government institutions. Together, we can usher in a new era of accountable government and scientific discovery. I believe that we as Americans can handle the truth, and I also believe the world deserves the truth. Thank you, esteemed members of Congress, for your time today. It is profoundly appreciated by many.
Thank you. I ask unanimous consent for Representatives Ogles of Tennessee and Boebert of Colorado to be waived onto the subcommittee for today's joint subcommittee hearing for the purpose of asking questions. Without objection, so ordered. I would now like to recognize Mr. Schellenberger for his introductory remarks.
Chairwoman Mace, Chairman Grothman, Ranking Member Connolly, Ranking Member Garcia, members of the subcommittees.
All right, Bob, this is a very long video. Where's the good stuff?
So listen to their opening remarks, and then, that kind of will give you the flavor of what's happening, because then the various committee members will come on and essentially ask them questions about their opening remarks. So if you want to get the TLDR version, listen to their remarks. You've only got 2 people left to do remarks.
All right, so am I going to go which people? Is this guy here?
It's
or?
Schellenberger and Gold are
Okay,
left.
so this guy's just going to introduce them.
No, Schellenberger is going to give his remarks.
His remarks, because I didn't even remember seeing him talk. Schellenberger.
Well, I don't know why you don't remember seeing him
I don't
talk,
remember.
but
I
he
guess I
does
was
talk.
managing some other stuff. So you got Iceman over here. He says, stay away from the soup. Thanks a lot, Bob. Thanks a lot. Now they actually think I'm poisoning you. Now they actually think that.
Thank you for inviting my testimony. One of Congress's most important responsibilities is oversight of the executive branch in general and the military and intelligence community in particular.
Thunderdome says, we gonna see Bob and Fu on ID channel. Laugh out loud. Bob, that's you know that me and Bob are obsessed with that. We used to watch it
we used
all
to
the
watch
time.
that. We would fall asleep to the murder shows.
I would love that guy's voice. What was it? It was like, yeah. It was really relaxing.
He had
wasn't
such a good, relaxing, calming voice.
it? It was a good, relaxing voice. It
But
makes
then
you want
it's
to take a
like-
nap.
It's weird because you wake up like in the night to go to the bathroom or
She
something.
was
It's
murdered.
like, and then he chopped his wife into 47 pieces. And
But he
you're
would
like,
say
what
it
the
in-
fuck am I listening to?
But he said it in a very like calm, like very relaxing kind of way. It's like, his wife was found under the sink.
And he had no idea how she got there.
Unfortunately, there is a growing body of...
Oh gosh, what?
Do you remember? So another murder show that we were watching. This one is definite. Like, it's comedically horrific, but it was a lady and she it was a show about how like custody shouldn't always go to the mom, which I agree with. I think it should go to the fit parent, regardless of what gender that parent is. I think some women are fucking crazy and should not have access to children.
Quags over here says, he says, I'm going to tell you, I made you some bleach soup. I would say, hey, Bob, look, I made some bleach soup. I mean, pea soup.
If there was carbohydrates in it, I would know it was a trap. But she killed her own kid, and was behaving very erratically, and then was trying to convince people that she had gone hunting for deer, which obviously made literally no sense. But yeah, that reminded me of that.
Evidence that the U.S. government is not being transparent about what it knows about unidentified anomalous phenomena, and that elements within the military and the IC are in violation of their constitutional duty to notify Congress of their operations. President-elect Donald Trump and former President Barack Obama have both said that the government has information about UAPs that it has not released.
This is like so retarded, isn't it? It's like, look, if you take away the UAP thing, they said they rebranded UFO because obviously more broad term allows them to have more power when it comes to surveilling the public. But if you really look at it for what it is, it's like this broad term that almost means nothing at this point. It almost means nothing. It can be like anything. So they're saying they have like information about nothing that they're not telling you about. Isn't that just amazing? Is that not funny to you? Like, look, let's just give it the old branding. UFO, unidentified flying object. So there's something flying in the sky that you don't know what the hell it is. So they're hiding from the public something was flying in the sky and they have no idea what it is.
Well, what comes out in the testimony, which I don't think Fu has the
Chutzpah?
I was gonna say chutzpah, but that's not the right word.
Why would you say that?
Fu's attention span is on the struggle bus right now.
I have a crazy attention span. It's ridiculous.
Because this
it's
is not
ridiculous how much
his
attention
special
I have.
area of interest.
It is. I love aliens.
So anyway,
Of course, this is my area of interest. I'm interested in lies and trying to track people.
So in the testimony, it comes out that this is not just
comes out of their
blurry
ass.
Are you done?
Yes.
That it's not just blurry pictures. It's not just like
what is
a
it? Clear AI
colander
pictures?
on a fishing line hauled across a security camera. That they actually have crafts,
Did they show 'em?
bodies, technology, weaponry, so on and so forth, and that they've been doing experiments on them for a long time.
All right, did they show
and
them?
they would neither confirm nor deny whether they've tried to hybridize the genetic material collected with people.
All right, did they?
That's what they come out with.
All right,
in
did
the
they show
testimony.
these crafts? Did they show them?
What would you show?
Okay, so they don't have any evidence of what they're saying. None. You know what's funny is that they actually had some like films and games that had like these organic airplanes. Wasn't that in Independence Day? They were like organically connected to these like crafts. I've seen this
Yes.
before in sci-fi.
And that's exactly what they're talking about now. Because they're talking about the limitations of current aeronautical tech in that the pilot and the craft are separate, and therefore the pilot is less able to adapt to the forces. So what if we bridged that gap? Right? And they talk about organic aircraft.
Yeah, they talk about it, but they show no proof of it.
So
right?
what are you thinking that they're
All
going
right,
to do?
so look,
Fu?
what is the point of this press event?
This is not a press event.
Okay,
This
what's
is
the
a
point
hearing.
of whatever the hell they're doing here?
This is a hearing.
All right, what's the point of this hearing?
This is like money laundering for ideas.
All right, so they want money thrown at them based on things they cannot prove.
No,
well,
they
the
want,
government, there's things happening and they're hiding it from you, and we're going to need some money so we can go track everybody for these things that we
they're
can't
entering
prove that actually
into
happened.
the record, the official record.
You're making me feel like this.
Matt Damon.
They're entering into the official record that there's some real crazy shit on the horizon.
Yeah, and they prove none of
And
it.
they want, it's not about proof.
Okay.
This is about entering the statement into record.
Okay.
It is now established.
So where are they going to, but they're trying to get funding, aren't
Because
they?
they are doing this in connection with an act, the Safe Skies Act, that has been put to the floor for a vote. So they're going to vote on the allocation
But they're
of
not
funds.
but they're not even just looking at things in the sky. They've like literally said that they're going to be looking at things that aren't in the sky.
Yes.
So the Safe Skies Act,
The
that's
Safe
it. That's
Skies Act is a catchy name.
That's ridiculous. What is this? We can have they should walk out and have R. Kelly's song, I Believe I Can Fly, playing. That might get them their funding. What do you think about them apples?
No, Faith, not beautiful.
You are beautiful.
No.
Yeah. What?
But I'm
Everyone.
not lady.
You're not a lady?
Yes,
What are you?
I'm lady boy.
Matt Damon.
There are other explanations for UAPs than that they represent a new form of life or non-human life. Current dominant alternative theories, including those put forward by Arrow, are that UAPs are some kind of natural phenomena we don't yet understand, like ball lightning or plasma. They could also be part of some new U.S. or foreign government weapons programs, such as drones, aircraft, balloons, CGI, hoaxes, or birds. Whatever you...
Balloons and CGI?
Did you hear what he said?
Say it again.
Part of an unknown advanced weapons program, including but not limited to. Right?
UAPs are...
So he's saying, surprise, we've got really cool shit that's about to hit the prime time, and we just need to be able to backtrack and explain where it came from. That's why this hearing is happening. That's why there's a bill being introduced.
So why did he bring up
that's going to
CGI?
requisition.
CGI.
Why do you think he would bring up CGI?
You tell me why. Tell me why. I can't pay attention to a million different things at the same
You
time.
can no longer believe
Just
what you
tell
see.
me. Okay. So who's producing it? The government? Can you clarify that? What he just said?
He is saying weapons programs, U.S. weapons programs that have had zero congressional oversight.
Yes. So weapons are just you're saying, okay, whatever.
Our Congress must be informed, as must the people of the United States. We have a right to know what UAPs are, no matter what they are. However, we now have existing and former U.S. government officials who have told Congress that AARO and the Pentagon have broken the law by not revealing a significant body of information about UAPs, including military intelligence databases that have evidence of their existence as physical craft. One of those individuals is a current or former U.S. government official acting as a UAP whistleblower. This person has written a report. This is the report that says the executive branch has been managing UAP NHI issues without congressional knowledge, oversight, or authorization for some time, quite possibly decades. Furthermore, these individuals have revealed the name of an active and highly secretive DoD unacknowledged special access program, or USAP. The source of that document told me, that the USAP is a strategic intelligence program that is part of the U.S. military family of long-standing, highly sensitive programs dealing with various aspects of the UAP problem. The new UAP whistleblower claims that the U.S. military and IC database includes videos and images taken using infrared, forward-looking infrared, full-motion video, and still photography. The report that was just shared with Congress says Immaculate Constellation serves as a central or parent USAP that consolidates observations of UAPs by both tasked and untasked collection platforms. Immaculate Constellation includes high-quality imagery intelligence and measurement and signature intelligence of UAPs, the whistleblower's report adds.
Platforms.
Wait, say that again, Bob. I have noise-canceling headphones on. Sorry, guys. What'd you say, Bob?
So he is saying tasked and untasked collection platforms. That means that they're already engaging in enhanced surveillance, both passively in that it just collects everything and stores it for later use, and in a more targeted fashion, like in the Patriot Act.
All right, so who is the one doing this data collection?
Unacknowledged special access programs in the Department of Defense.
So they're already doing this.
Yes.
And so they're asking to track these things?
Backtracking and saying, oh, these things already exist, but we need more funding because they already exist because of these UAPs, and now we've got all these fancy new weapons, and but what if the aliens are in the ocean? We need more money. Okay, so this is basically intellectual money laundering. They've already done a naughty thing, and they've used hundreds of billions of taxpayer dollars to do it, and they want to do it more. So now they're saying, surprise aliens, oh, we have to have this bill, and now we can openly requisition these dollars rather than getting into this situation where we're just taking the dollars and then saying we lost them.
Oh, makes sense.
The sources of this intelligence are a blend of directed and incidental collection capabilities, positioned in low Earth orbit, the upper atmosphere, as well as military and civilian aviation altitudes and maritime environments. The report to Congress details in detail various UAPs, including spheres, orbs, disks, saucers, ovals, triangles, boomerang, arrowhead, and irregular organic. The report describes various incidents found in the human intelligence databases. One involved orbs surrounding and forcing an F-22 out of its patrol area. In another incident, the crew of a Navy aircraft carrier watched a small orange-red sphere rapidly descend from a high altitude of 100 to 200 yards directly above the flight deck of the CVN, or aircraft carrier. And since my reporting on this Immaculate Constellation last month, another source came forward who told me that they saw a roughly 13-minute-long, high-definition, full-color video of a white orb UAP coming out of the ocean.
Oh my God, look, somebody told him they saw a video of something coming out of something. Someone showed him a video. This just reads like a big bowl of shit. That's what this sounds like to me. Like, this sounds insane. Like, look, I just saw AI cartoons of fucking butterflies coming out of people's eyeballs, and then they burst into flames and yogurt falls all over them. Now I can go in front of some committee and say, I saw a video of right? We need to go and fight the aliens or something, right? He said he saw it on a video, Bob. He didn't see any of this stuff. He saw it. If you saw it on a video, that's as good as saying that you didn't see anything. Pretty much. At this point in reality land. Am I wrong?
I mean, I don't agree with your take, but
okay.
you're entitled to
You're just saying they're trying to get funds funding. And they're using a video that he saw as one of the reasons why they need to do this.
Relation serves as a central or parent USAP that consolidates observations of UAPs by both tasked and untasked collection platforms. Immaculate Constellation includes high-quality imagery intelligence and measurement and signature intelligence of UAPs, the whistleblower's report adds. The sources of this intelligence are a blend of directed and incidental collection capacities, capabilities, positioned in low Earth orbit, the upper atmosphere, as well as military and civilian aviation altitudes and maritime environments. The report to Congress details in detail various UAPs, including spheres, orbs, disks, saucers, ovals, triangles, boomerang, arrowhead, and irregular organic. The report describes various incidents found in the human intelligence databases. One involved orbs surrounding and forcing an F-22 out of its patrol area. In another incident, the crew of a Navy aircraft carrier watched a small orange-red sphere rapidly descend from a high altitude of 100 to 200 yards directly above the flight deck of the CVN, or aircraft carrier. And since my reporting on this Immaculate Constellation last month, another source came forward who told me that they saw a roughly 13-minute long, high-definition...
So, like I said, Bob, he just said another source came forward and told him that he had seen something on a video, and then he's relaying what he saw in a video to this guy. That sounds like, to me, that sounds like you would never be able to bring that into a court or anything. That's a garbage statement.
Full-color video of a white orb UAP coming out of the ocean approximately 20 miles off the coast of Kuwait. It was filmed from a helicopter. Then halfway through the video, the person said the orb is joined by another orb that briefly comes into the frame from the left before rapidly moving again out of the frame. The person discovered the video on SIPR, the Secure Internet Protocol Router Network, which the DoD uses to transmit classified information. A leading UAP researcher who utilizes the Freedom of Information Act to find out what the government knows, John Greenwald, told me last year that the U.S. government had been increasingly denying his requests for UAP information. He has been doing FOIA requests for 27 years and has an archive of 3 million pages. The government has for decades denied any interest in UFOs, he told me, but the documents that he has assembled show that behind the scenes it was a completely different story. Contrary to the hopes of many advocates of transparency, the government has been restricting more information since the leak of 3 UAP videos in 2017. The DoD organization Arrow has been labeling many documents.
Do you know where these videos are, Bob? Because this video's over. This is like another, over an hour more to go.
What videos are you asking about?
Videos of these supposed UAPs flying around.
Okay, so again, this is a hearing.
Yes.
This is not a presentation of classified documents.
Okay.
This is a hearing, which is why they're testifying.
Okay, but he has nothing to show. He's just talking.
Because this is a hearing.
Okay, but this is all supposed to they're supposed to get funding for something based on him saying that one of the things he saw was something on a cell phone.
The people testifying are not getting funding.
They're trying to create something within the government, aren't they? Am I wrong? Like, what the hell's going on here? He's just rambling off. He says, I saw on a phone some guy... The guy who he said this had seen something on a phone and then said to him that he saw something on a phone. Well, just like I just said, I saw Will Smith eat spaghetti and put it through his cheeks. That's what he just said.
He didn't say it was
Yes,
on a
he did.
phone.
Oh my God.
Out of the ocean approximately
let me show this one more time, people.
20 miles off the coast of Kuwait. It was... Immaculate Constellation includes high-quality imagery intelligence and measurement and signature intelligence of UAPs, the whistleblower's report adds. The sources
All right, so the whistleblower. This is what he's talking about, the whistleblower.
This intelligence are a blend of directed and incidental collection capacities, capabilities, positioned in low Earth orbit, the upper atmosphere, as well as military and civilian aviation altitudes and maritime environments. The report to Congress details in detail various UAPs, including...
I think it was further back. You didn't hear when he said that a guy... had a supposed witness had seen the witness didn't actually see this thing. He saw it on a phone. That's what he said. And then he relayed back to this guy or wherever the fuck this statement came from. He relayed it to whoever and said that he had seen something on a phone and it was like an orb and he saw it on a phone. He didn't see it with his fucking eyes. So to me, this reads like a joke. This sounds like a joke.
Okay.
It's ridiculous.
Okay.
It really is. Because we see all kinds of weird things all the time on phones and TV screens. You can't see it with your real eyes. You can't be considered a real witness, really. I don't think so. When it's something like this. Because look, if it's like 9/11 and the fucking buildings fell down, you go to New York, you saw it one day, and the next it's not there, and you see rubble everywhere, you know for a fact it's real. But when it's some weird phenomenon that no one, somehow billions of people in the world have all these different, there are literally probably billions of cameras in the world. And yet no one's ever seen these fucking orbs flying around. But yet it's just some military people just see these orbs?
That's not true.
Okay, who's seen these things there? Why is it that we have all these cameras and the most we ever see is some blurry pictures? When you have billions of cameras in circulation. That's a lot of people to take pictures. I just don't understand how you would he's like, oh bro, I saw an orb on a cell phone and I'm going to relay that back to you. It's totally real. It was on a cell phone.
Spheres, orbs, discs, saucers, ovals, triangles, boomerang, arrowhead, and irregular organic. The report describes various incidents found in the human intelligence databases. One involved orbs surrounding and forcing an F-22 out of its patrol area. In another incident, the crew of a Navy aircraft carrier watched a small orange-red sphere rapidly descend from a high altitude of 100 to 200 yards directly above the flight deck of the CVN, or aircraft carrier. And since my reporting on this immaculate constellation last month, another source came forward.
Right here, look. Another source came forward. This is what I'm talking about.
Told me that they saw a roughly 13-minute long, high-definition, full-color video of a white orb UAP coming out of the ocean approximately 20 miles off the coast of Kuwait. It was filmed from a helicopter. Then halfway
they said they saw it on a video. On a video.
Through the video, the person said the orb is joined by another orb that briefly comes into the frame from the left before rapidly moving again out of the frame. The person discovered the video on SIPR, the Secure Internet Protocol Router Network, which the DoD uses to transmit classified information. A leading UAP researcher who utilizes the
and
freedom
it
of
wasn't on
information.
a cell phone.
It was on a video.
It was.
He said it was on a video.
Yes.
Yes,
that
it
was
was on a
taken
video.
off of a